Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project.
Say that.
So we had an exploding beer in the hallway.
Yeah, you just said that. See, that was before I arrived.
Yeah. I was like, wait till Eric sees this mess.
What the hell is with ice fishing? Like, who would actually ice fish?
Someone that loves cold feet.
All right, you ice fish. I saw the photos.
Yeah, I ice fish, but
Okay.
I think I speak for a lot of ice fishermen when we get out on the ice. We think the same thing. What the hell are we doing here? Why? You know, we said, let me just jig this thing a couple of times. Oh, it's freaking cold. You know, ice fishing is not fun. The only time it's fun is when you actually catch things.
And you have to have whiskey.
Whiskey does help.
Why?
You just do.
It's a warmer.
I actually have a shirt that says whiskey helps.
I don't know.
So.
Whiskey on ice. I've got all the gear. I hardly ever go, but I've
Pass me that beer opener, will you?
Sure. There you go.
Toss it. I trust you. All right. Didn't break anything yet, Bill.
Good.
Bill's been in the studio for about a half an hour, and nothing is broken yet.
Yes.
Yeah, just a couple
And
spills.
see, I can actually say that. Yeah, a couple spilled
We had an
beers.
exploding beer in the hallway.
Yeah, you just
What exactly? See, that was before I arrived. What happened exactly?
I was like, wait till Eric sees this mess.
I'll come in. I'll come in the morning, and the landlord will be like, "What a very unusual smell on the hall."
If you feel your board I gave you, if it's sticky,
Hold
that's
on.
why. That thing, and it was hilarious. I offered him a beer. I handed it to him, and he's like, "Oh, I can't get it open. I open it like this."
Then I was wearing it.
And he opens it, it goes all over me.
In my face, on the chest.
Beautiful.
And I have like a quick drying shirt, thank God, but I was covered.
All right. Yeah, but I mean, like, what's the point of ice fishing? What's the point?
To catch fish.
It's
Get drunk.
yeah.
But I mean, like, okay, so I only remember from like I think the Jetsons had it.
It can get you to spots. I think the fish act different in the winter. They school up and they're down deep, and
Yeah.
it might be
Are they
easier to
attracted
catch.
to the area you're cutting the hole in the ice at?
No, they're attracted to what you got on what you got for bait.
Yeah, it's something that they
Little
aren't
maggot
seeing
on a
in
little
long
hook,
time, but,
little jig.
You know, yeah, but the whole thing about ice fishing is just you actually being able to catch a fish through ice, like you know.
And I think they taste better too, though.
You know what?
Yeah,
Personally,
they
I
do.
like perch in
They
the
do.
winter and walleye in the winter.
Yep.
Why
And
would it
cold
taste
water.
better?
I don't know.
Cooler water.
I mean, there's
That's what
theories
they-
out there.
that's
Cold
what-
water.
Less grease. I don't know.
If you want to eat pike, they say you have to eat pike in the winter or spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So-
know what they say about pike. You cook it on a board, and you throw the
You eat
pike
the
out and
board.
eat the board.
I
Pike are
may
just
not
so-
want to consume any beverages on this show with the three of you in this room. I may not get that's not on my nose. Okay. But you know better. So help the slow one, the non outdoorsman here. You're saying that the pike doesn't taste very good.
No, well, it's bony, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's just difficult to fillet.
Didn't you eat carp when we were a kid from the river?
I ate everything out of the river.
God, from out
True story.
Oh,
Hey,
Ohio.
Mrs. Trunzo cooked me a carp one time.
Oh, really?
She did. She did.
Carp.
Yep.
Yeah. We
Yep.
have a creek here called the Montour Creek.
Yes.
Which I guess does it border like the Montour Trail at all?
It
or-
runs along the Montour Trail. My father grew up on Montour Trail, up past Forest Grove Sports.
No kidding.
And when I was a kid, he told me the name of that creek was Cramer Creek. For years, I argued.
believed it.
I argued in elementary school. That's Cramer Creek.
You believed it.
Oh yeah, I did a lot down. That's where I learned how to hunt.
Huh.
Yeah.
But I remember carp was the prevailing, that was
That
the
was it.
prevailing fish that was in
Carp.
the river. And I remember talking like in
Catfish.
the 70s when the
70s.
mills were all rolling and the carp would come out radioactive.
And there was
Yeah,
there was a
glowing.
blue-green
Yeah.
sheen on the river. Oil.
There was a blue-green sheen on the river.
There
Yeah,
was.
That's true.
I
You would
know.
go water skiing in the Ohio. No, seriously. And you would literally, if you were lucky not to impale yourself on a row, on a like a tree branch going down there, you would come out and you'd have to detar yourself when you would get to the...
Dear
Jeez.
God.
It's crazy how things have changed. Like when I was a kid, the rivers back home, like I lived in coal country. All the rivers were orange. Or I mean, like this.
There's a stream. There's a stream down at Bridgeville still runs orange.
From what exactly?
Acid mine runoff.
Acid
or
mine.
AMD.
Sulfur, rust.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's basically like oxidized, but like acid mine drainage, what they call it, AMD, but like everything from the mines would just flow right in the rivers, killed everything, all the fish, everything.
That sounds worse than what we
There wasn't
encountered then, right?
Oh, we encountered that too.
I don't remember that.
It's
Well,
No, it's
by the
all-
time
it's-
it got to us, it was just a blue-green sheen.
yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah,
it
it's all
diluted.
flowing in the same area.
Yeah,
So.
and all that flew from Johnstown, Somerset, all flows into Pittsburgh.
Hits the Yawk, hits the Mon, hits the Allegheny.
Okay, but since we're talking about Montour Creek, and these two gentlemen don't know where it's at,
It's right
let's
over
you and
there.
I talk, let's you and I
We
tell
fished
the
it.
story without naming the participants.
Oh,
And because it's funny. We don't want to name participants.
no.
We don't want to hurt
no,
feelings.
No, I agree.
But there was a person that we knew that we were all young. I mean, young, like 14, 15 years old. And there was a person. I'm not even sure this person was actually in our school, but we knew who he was. He got stuck in not quicksand, but in the mud at Montour Creek, really stuck. and
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, and we
to
I
get a
don't know
record.
I was there, but I'm not the one who ran down to the guardhouse on the railroad
For
track.
the
but
railroad guard,
They ended
yeah.
up bringing a
Wrecker.
wrecker down, and then
Pulled him out of the mud with a wrecker, a wench,
Yeah,
and
to pull
came.
him out.
Now,
the mud with the wreck.
is this like a human being? Or is
Yeah,
this a car? Or,
he was a
we
big.
were afraid he was going to sink like a stone, man. I thought for sure. I couldn't
It
stop
was
laughing,
scary.
but I was also horrified.
Yeah.
because,
Yeah, it was scary. He was a
we-
big guy.
We
He was
we were
scary.
like bending saplings over so he could try to hold on to them, but we
I
thought he
remember.
was really going to be submerged in that. We were were we down there just fishing? Because I didn't
Yeah.
fish. What the hell was I doing down there?
Hang on. Oh, I don't know.
I was down there.
You
I
were
remember-
doing something down there. There are a lot of things went on. A lot of stuff went on down there.
But this kid like almost drowned, like got
Yeah.
sucked up by mud. And
Yeah.
they had to get an engine to pull him on
Wow.
the railroad to pull him out with a chain.
Yeah.
It was a chain. Remember that dirty old rusty chain they threw out
Yeah.
to him?
He had to hold it though.
He tried to
Or-
wrap it around him. He couldn't get it around him. It was a nightmare. But he ended up. Yeah, I think he ended up just holding it. And I'll never forget this. This is the honest to God truth. When he got out, it wasn't like they just slowly pulled him out. I don't know if it jerked him,
Oh God.
but it went like.
Yeah, I was just about to say
It did.
the suction
It
is
was so
horrible.
full of. I mean, it was like
Yeah,
it was
that's-
funny, but it was also horrifying
That's
as
a
a
true
kid.
story.
And then we would go home, and I tried to tell my parents the story because that's really what I was, where I was, and I probably was in trouble. They didn't
Right.
believe me. They didn't believe me. I
Wow.
remember my mom calling, maybe your mom calling other, because trying to verify this story of where the hell I was all day.
Well, I wasn't allowed to go to the river, but I was allowed to go to the creek. And the creek was a lot more dangerous than the river. I never understood that.
This kid almost got sucked up,
I know.
and they pulled him out with a wrecker.
Did he save his shoes?
Who knows?
don't-
I doubt it. I doubt
I
it.
don't even think he was a fisherman either.
No, I know what he was doing.
So, Ed, give me an update on the Thirsty Outdoorsmen. What the hell's going on?
Well, we tried to film the other day. Yeah, what's going on?
Oh, whoa, yeah.
Yeah, we were since then.
Did you
Yeah.
guys get married?
Since the last show,
Since the
they're
last show.
both wearing wedding bands.
We should have just saved some money and just did the wedding all at once.
Yeah,
Both our weddings. But
Yeah,
Why do they match?
because I think I gave him that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
What
He's,
did match?
We'll talk later, Tom.
See that?
too obvious.
So now you have a very, pretty good excuse why things aren't, moving along as fast as you'd like.
things. When was the last time we were on? Do you guys remember?
6 months, maybe.
Yeah,
8
it was
months?
about 6 months ago.
So in 6 months, we both got married. We both bought
Nice.
new houses.
Right.
Nice.
I mean, planning a wedding during COVID is, to say the least, not the easiest thing in the world.
Oh, it's a nightmare. My daughter's has been messed up twice.
Oh, yeah, it's-
yeah.
Yours
I
was
mean-
delayed big time, right?
Yeah,
And then yours got
Well,
canceled.
it is
Straight up
and
canceled.
yeah.
We went to the courthouse and got married, but
Save an ass load of money.
well, yeah, and then now we she wants to do a wedding.
Of course.
So
Let's be honest. You want to do a wedding too?
I kind of do, but I mean it's something very small. Like when I was talking a wedding, I wanted as many people there as possible. I want a huge ass party,
Okay.
like thinking Wedding Crashers type deal.
Oh, shit.
But
Nice.
obviously that's not going to happen. But at least we still have the ability to go out and party and hang out with some friends. So we're doing a kind of a really small wedding that's near a hotel that we stayed at when we actually got wedded at a courthouse. So
Kids.
You know, yeah.
Nice.
Kids.
So you get married twice in the same year.
Yeah,
Good. Right.
Oh shit.
same woman. So
Yeah. Well, hey,
They make
hey, it's cheaper that way.
reality TV shows about that shit, you know. At least I hear anyway.
yeah.
All right. So what is the quick and dirty on this straight yacht that I see you proliferating out there? It's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, thank you. Honestly, this is just something that I've kind of like. So I've gotten, because that I'm not fighting anymore, I still have all this competitive.
I need you on Rogan, man. I need you wearing one of my logo T-shirts on Rogan.
Yeah.
We gotta get that happen.
I would love to.
Yeah,
I mean, let's make it happen.
All right.
You know?
That's exactly right.
I'll text Rogan later.
Okay,
See.
take care of that for me. He probably can.
But you know, yeah, I started this thing because, like I said, I'm so competitive that I want to go out and want to compete. Obviously, I'm not fighting anymore. So I said, I'm really into kayak fishing and kayak bass fishing. So I started this and competitive kayak bass fishing is actually it's growing a lot, and a lot of the big name guys are doing it nowadays, all the pros and stuff like that. And so I'm like, you know what, hey, let's go ahead and give it a shot. I mean, I mixed two of my passions, being competitive and fishing at the same time. So I created Street Yacht as an attempt for me to possibly gain some attention, some notoriety.
It's working.
Well, thank you. And it's more or less just me kind of like dwelling in my passion and kind of letting people understand it. And it's actually helped to a lot of other people. People are starting to get into kayak fishing. A couple people I've already helped buy kayak fishing.
So what the hell is that? Because to me, it looks hard enough just a kayak.
Well,
let alone start fishing.
I can't even get out of a kayak if I get into the kayak.
Well, the kayaks that they make nowadays are just they're basically miniature bass boats, and if you think about it, and they're about as expensive.
They're more expensive than a bass boat.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah,
some of them.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about just going out and getting a full size bass boat, like a decent one on Craigslist, they're about the same as just getting a kayak.
Okay, all right. Help me understand. A kayak. So I'm envisioning that long, skinny, one-person boat, one seat, no compartments anywhere. You basically slide into this thing and you
there's
paddle.
a cooler.
There's a cooler.
They have coolers on them. They do.
Of course.
Within reach.
Yeah, you do.
Yes.
So now there's a compartment behind.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a. They make them now that they do have storage places, and so
Don't they turn her over? That's the whole point. They roll.
No,
like
that's a whitewater kayak. So that's something he used to do back in the day.
Yeah, so I wonder, how the hell do you fish off of something like that?
Nah, you don't really fish off.
There's no way.
Okay, so
whitewater kayak is all about surviving.
So do you stand up? Do you stand up in your kayak and cast?
Yeah.
You stand in your kayak?
Yeah, stand up, flip,
It's a canoe.
skip. Oh no, it's. I think
That's the common
Stand
thing.
in a kayak.
There's a canoe and there's a kayak. They're definitely different.
All right.
Yeah.
What are the
Yeah.
difference?
And so like canoe is more of like a I would say almost like a two-person that's hollowed out.
Okay.
The entire thing. It's like a regular boat, just skinnier,
Okay.
longer. Kayak like
Tops
are the ones we
enclosed.
use. Yeah. The ones we use they're called sit-on tops. For the most part, we use sit-on tops. We have like 5 or 6 between us, but you sit on top of it, and then everything lays on top of it, and there's like, so if water comes in the boat, it just drains straight out through weep holes.
Okay.
Or
scupper
holes, I'm sorry.
Scuppers.
Yeah.
Get the terminology ready.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, that's basically like the difference between is you can carry a lot of stuff in a canoe. You cannot carry a lot of stuff
in a kayak. Correct.
Mm.
But a kayak in itself, like the way that they make them is it's a single mold design, but there's space in between the part that actually touches the water and where you sit. And so it's basically you're just sitting on. It's not inflatable. It's just a single mold plastic, but it's a hollow thing that and it's super stable, and you can just you can go anywhere you want with them. And why I like kayak fishing a lot is because you get all these big boats out there and they can't get to the spots that the kayaks can get.
Understood.
So you get a lot of opportunities to catch fish that these people haven't thrown baits at
In the shallows.
Yeah. So
I mean, you can stand up in this thing.
Oh yeah.
Now, what
Yeah.
about if a speedboat goes by and there's a big wake? I mean, can that?
Believe it or not, they still hold their own. I mean, but generally, I mean, it depends on they have some older versions of sit on tops that aren't as stable, you know. So you have versions that are generally designed for tracking well, which they're more kind of. I guess not as wide.
Okay.
And then you have ones that are generally there to be just a stable platform that you can literally do whatever the heck you want. You can stand
Do you
on
run
it,
outriggers?
you know. I mean,
Nah,
if you
never
paddle
did.
fast
Can you?
enough.
You can. I've never done it before.
Yeah, Kauai 5
Yeah. I mean,
I've seen outriggers and kayaks before, but that's way too.
is that
Yeah, it's
just
too. Yeah.
So that's a whole
It's
form
like,
of
we
fishing. Then
like-
is kayak fishing. is
Kayak
that thing.
fishing.
yeah, kayak fishing and
competitive
people,
kayak fishing.
Yeah, and people are getting into competitive kayak fishing because, you know, with bass fishing, you know, you have all the boats and stuff like that, and I don't know if that's what we're talking about as far as like this country trying to be more greener, but you know, technically when we're out in a kayak, we're not really, you know, using gasoline and stuff like that. But I also think it's the idea that it's a different challenge. Like anybody can drive a boat to a spot and start fishing, but to be able to paddle and, you know, being able to customize your kayak the way that it's meant to, you
Kind
know.
of like archery hunting.
Yeah.
Rifle hunting, archery hunting.
Yeah,
It's kind of
exactly.
like the
Yeah.
archery hunting of.
A different skill type, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
It's a lot harder to learn.
young man sport?
well, yeah, but and the thing too though is like, but you know, when you get in these boats and stuff like that, if you are a fisherman who does off the boats, if you're in kayaks, you know, that is like a healthier alternative. You know, if you're talking about trying to be a little bit more healthier, you know,
Yeah.
you're out there paddling around, or you know, they have pedal kayaks now. You know, you pedal around, so you're still you're burning calories.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it because you're actually outdoors and you're
Right.
enjoying the time and you're fishing.
Right.
You're in your passion. So,
See,
you know.
I'd use a trolling motor, I think.
That's
Yeah.
pretty common.
Yeah. All the old guys
nothing
got
wrong
the
with
trolling
that.
motors, and the other guys
Yeah.
got it going on.
Nothing wrong with that.
A lot of the big name competitive guys are starting to put trolling motors, and they got these things that's called iPilot and you know your spot lock, and all you can do you can literally set this trolling motor
With
to
your
go where you want to go, and you just let it go.
With
And
your
it'll-
smartphone.
yeah, pretty much.
Really?
You know?
Nice.
Yeah.
You can hook it up. I have mine on my boat. Like I
Yeah.
can literally control my boat from the dock.
Mm-hmm.
I can
crazy.
honestly God, I
Is
can
it
control my
nuts?
RC car.
Yeah.
19-foot boat from a dock.
RC car.
It's
There's
the
a
same
there's an
thing.
old guy.
Well, no, I mean, well,
Yeah.
an old guy. Last time they were on the show together, I brought up Babe Winkleman, and there was quiet in the room.
They didn't know who it
Kinda.
was.
Not a fucking clue.
You don't know who
I'm
Babe
like,
Winkleman
Babe
is?
Winkleman. I mean, that's all we knew.
Babe
I only knew-
Winkleman
Yeah,
was
I don't
on
think-
television.
I don't think we really.
You should aspire to be Babe Winkleman.
Who was the guy that came after him? There was another one, wasn't there?
Oh God, that was.
But Babe Winkleman had all the women, because there was always women around there, and they had all the endorsements.
The guy after him was a
Every
bass
person.
fisherman. He was.
And Babe wasn't the best
The guy
looking
with the
dude.
Tennessee
I mean,
hat.
but he made it work.
the guy with the Tennessee. I'm drawing a blank. Who's the guy with the Tennessee hat? The
Oh, you're
hilarious
talking
dude.
about Bill
Bill Dance.
Bill
Yeah,
Dance.
Bill
Yeah.
Dance
Had a brain
was
fart
another
there.
one. Yeah, Bill Dance.
I feel like he's been that guy since we were kids.
Yeah,
I mean, before
could've
I'm
been.
37, so I mean, since I can remember, Bill
Yeah.
Dance was like the
Cut
man.
my pinky toe off to be 37.
He's younger than I am. 33.
33.
I'm only 43, man.
I know.
37 is right around the corner.
Yeah, be okay.
I feel like I'm 53 though.
No, no,
Oh,
And
wait,
see,
wait till you are 53.
I'm 55.
Wow,
like
I know.
I'm 30. I feel good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm 56, going on like 85.
He's lived 4 lifetimes.
I have.
Reason why.
I've used all eight of my 9
so,
lives.
All right, so let's. We could go into some long political diatribe, but you know what? There's enough of that out there. I want to have fun tonight. I want to touch on some big picture concepts. I do. But the one thing that puzzles me about outdoorsmen and the people who examine outdoorsmen, the backwards and forwards, and me being out in the periphery, not really involved in either, just kind of like looking around. It's amazing that when you fish, you kill an animal.
Well,
A fish is an animal, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, you
Catch a release.
sorry, go ahead.
Hold on, let me finish.
It
Let me
is.
finish. 'Cause I want all three of your opinion. So, there's, I'm not going to say it's PETA or whatever the groups are, but there are people, there are good people that really have a fundamental problem with animals dying intentionally at the hands of humans. I just find it interesting that those people that had that philosophy devalue fish as opposed to mammals. There's like in their brains, there's same thing with like dogs.
So it's okay to eat fish but not beef.
I'm just saying.
Do they have a name for that?
I don't.
There's vegans.
Pescatarians or something or whatever.
Yeah.
But no. What I'm saying to you is like I've never understood, even since I was young. In the end, hunting and fishing is the same thing. I mean, you're hunting fish.
That's yeah.
You're hunting fish. So, but I find it interesting that they make a moral difference between the two, almost like pets.
What do they think of fish as mammals more cognitive or more
think
human?
I think the fishing is never they never raise their ire with fishing. It's always about the gun and the hunt, as opposed to fishing seems to just fly off the radar.
Well, there's more blood in hunting, so I think they kind of like interact that way. That that animal's suffering because look at it bleeding. But when you catch a fish, you just got it in the lip and it's not bleeding really. Depending on
part of the reason, absolutely. But I think the other, like, people see a deer, like.
Yeah, it's cute. Bambi.
And honest to God,
Disney ruined it.
It's Disney
part of the reason.
Walt was a bastard, man.
Yeah. You know what I see? I see a stick.
Yeah, to me too. And what I give him. But they honest to God, like I think people see it as like a deer is something cuddly, a bear something cuddly. You can pet it, whatever. Like
try petting a bear, pal.
Yeah, no kidding.
Try petting a deer.
You see teddy bears. Like you grow up, you have a teddy bear as a kid.
Okay.
Like how can you ever think about shooting a teddy bear?
Yeah, I've never seen a kid with a stuffed fish.
Like you can't pick up a fish and pet it.
It was the one that talked, like the talking fish thing.
Big mouth Billy Bass or whatever.
That was a movie, wasn't it? That was what was the fish that come out of the water and talk?
Well, it's a Disney movie.
Yeah,
the talking fish.
Oh, geez.
That's a classic.
Yeah, see what you missed?
It's a classic.
Tell us is Finding Nemo. To you guys, it might be something different.
Way before Nemo.
No, I forget his name.
Yeah, but we make a value judgment.
No, it's true.
Isn't that interesting?
It's 100% true.
Well, it also, I mean, it's crazy about how, and again, I'm going to get hate mail here, so don't take it personally. All I'm doing in this show is asking questions. It's interesting how I know there's going to be plenty after I say this. It's interesting how in some cultures, Vietnamese cultures, they raise dogs for slaughter.
I know.
I am not saying I agree with that. I'm making an observation. So there's a moral judgment, like what is a pet, what is a game animal, what is a fish. We make that value judgment in our head, which kind of people that have a problem with that stuff. And I don't want to see dogs. Believe me, I don't want to see dogs dying because I have the mental thing with the pet too. But the point is, you almost have to choose what to be offended by.
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
we're told what to be offended by.
Right,
well, you're still making a choice in the end, though.
Right.
Yeah.
And they all have cultural differences. This culture is going to do what they do, and this culture is going to do what they do.
Well,
and everybody's judging each
we're
other.
We're the dirty American, man.
We've been the dirty Americans.
We just do what we want, and we pass judgment on everybody else because
each other.
They're not doing it. We're doing it our way.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's just interesting how fish get the raw end of the deal, man. They're not being protected by the PETA people. They're just not.
Honestly, it's 100% true. I've had this conversation where why when I catch a fish and I throw it in the boat, if it's not catch and release. So like we catch and release probably the vast majority of the time.
And it drowns on air.
Yeah, exactly. But like most of the time we catch it, look at it, maybe take a grip and grin, throw it back in the water. It's good to go. 90% of the fish that we catch bass wise are surviving. Trout a little bit lower,
Right.
But when we're catching fish to eat, like I was just ice fishing a couple weeks ago. Why do I not feel bad by throwing that fish on the ice and it's like basically suffocating? I would never do that to a deer.
Interesting.
Like, you know what I mean? I would never take a deer.
It's a very interesting question.
Well,
It's
that's
like,
just
why
like
in my
a-
mind do I think that way? And it's
we devalue them.
What about
Yeah,
a
it's
trophy-sized fish? Are you more prone to just take a picture and put it back in a lake?
yes, yeah, absolutely.
me too.
I mean,
Yeah.
unless
Generally,
it's
it's a breeder, and
like,
you
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
want it back in
we
the
get
water.
into
want it
like
back in the water.
conservation and
Right.
like we want to make more of those fish. So,
Right.
but like it's just weird that like you bring that up, and like there was a point in time until I had a very good conversation with some friends. Like, why do I not care about that fish as much? But like I don't get hounded. I've had 100 conversations about people getting on me about killing ducks or deer or anything, and then
We've had quite a few at the Thirsty Outdoorsmen.
oh yeah, but like no one's ever had that conversation with us. Like, oh, what about the fish? Like, you know what? That's true. Like, why in the world do we value them different? Like,
They
what in our
kind of
brains?
get, they kind of get a raw deal.
Yeah,
Fish.
like, but it was just like the way you're
Maybe
brought
we
up.
need to
It's
start an
just-
organization. Maybe that's something we can rally behind.
Maybe we
Yeah.
started a
Save the fish.
I mean, maybe they're so plentiful. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, maybe that's
that,
why.
and they don't see them out in the nature. I mean, they're underwater and they can't see them.
Yeah,
You know, in
you
general.
can't pick them up and pet them.
Yeah, right.
There's so much hypocrisy because
Yeah, oh my
oftentimes
gosh.
I can guarantee you, the person who is really troubled by deer hunting is the same person that'll call the neighbor to kill the snake they see in their front yard because they're terrified.
We'll go to McDonald's and eat a hamburger.
They pick
I
and
just,
choose.
It's yeah, and I think that's I guess as humans we get to do that, but I find that it's really hypocritical, very hypocritical. You know,
I think at a young age you are taught to fear different things,
yeah.
And love different things, and I think that generally revolves around your parents, friends, families, and things like that. So, and like we were talking, like Disney, Disney, has Bambi. Bambi is such a, cute and cuddly little deer, flying around, and of course
how
we
can
don't
you
want to
shoot
shoot,
that?
but when we're talking about a snake, I in fact I love snakes. I'll never kill a snake ever,
Right.
unless we're hunting rattlers for food,
Yeah.
which that's another story way off in the distance. But still, it's like I have a feeling that a lot of that is kind of just parents or younger individuals or older individuals actually imposing those fears and thoughts into those people. Like, what if we made stories more about spiders? Like, what if we did a Disney? Well, we did do a Disney.
Charlotte's Web.
Charlotte's Web about
Disney's done
spiders, but
everything.
but I mean something that takes like spiders out of the equation as far as being mean and nasty, instead to being useful,
Right.
and stuff like that. Like I don't I'll tell you I don't really kill spiders either. I normally just replace them out, place them outside and stuff like that because they're useful. They're meant to kill things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if I see a little spider, I just let it kind of do its thing, and I don't really
there's a spider within 10 feet of you.
all times.
Anywhere on Earth.
and that
At all times.
and that
Wow,
in
that's
a
crazy.
lifetime
That's crazy.
in a lifetime, supposedly in a lifetime, a spider will climb in and out of your mouth while you're
Yeah.
sleeping at least 8 times.
Oh, I got a spider story, man.
Oh, let's hear it.
No, listen, I'm all half crocked. It's like 2 a.m. I'm out of my trailer at my hunting club, and I had this spider. It was a big wolf spider. He was like my pet.
The hairy.
He would I knew he was there.
Right.
I didn't have any mice. That's how big he was. I'm laying there one night, staring at the ceiling, bed spinning a little bit, and I feel the.
no, man.
Listen, the slow crawl like an old Chiller Theater movie. like you don't move because if he stings you right here, you're getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That spider was amazing.
I mean, what happened? Did
I
you-
let him walk on by, bro.
Jeez,
I mean, smashing him into my face.
that is a good point.
Yeah.
I mean,
I didn't
would have
scream.
done a head shake or something.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't moving.
Yeah.
That could have set him off. He could have got
That's
double
true.
double
That's
fang
true.
in the nose.
Well, see, it's interesting too. Like when we were younger, like we were little in the 70s, 80s, big
Yeah.
game hunting was a thing, and there wasn't a lot of people pissed off about it. Now maybe because the internet didn't exist.
We also had
right?
guns hanging in our windows of our trucks.
Right.
and-
It used to
But-
be
but-
a holiday, actually.
But I mean, like big game hunting, like let's just say safari hunting. That was like a thing the wealthy could do. They would go to, and you'd see people
Right.
killing tigers and lions and elephants. I didn't like the elephant thing even as a kid because I just loved that animal. It was hard for me to rectify in my head. So I was being choosy as to, doing exactly what people do. To this day, the thought of elephants suffering like that, and I can't tell you why. I cannot tell you why that affects me that way. I don't, but you can't kill lions anymore, and heaven forbid you take a snapshot with your cell phone and that hits the web because you are canceled out of society, right? Yep. Lions, jaguars, all those things, even if it's not legally, right? Mm-hmm. But it was interesting though that people get really pissed off about the safari style animals too, and is that because of the zoo culture we have?
It's the same thing. I think it's culture. It's movies. It's this. It's that.
Simba.
It's like it's Simba. It's Bambi.
Listen, they put so much money in them local economies,
No,
and so much money into conservation.
That's the issue. You take the hunter out of the equation. Like. Believe me, I'm completely for me, I will never do a safari hunt. I have no reason to go
safari hunt.
Well, that too, but I have no reason to go up to a giraffe and try to put a bullet in it. There really isn't a game to me on that sense.
Right.
But there are people who are into that, and hey, do your thing. But as long as you do it legally, and when you do it legally, you pay a ton of money. Right. And like he said, all that money's going to the economy and it's going to conservation. And, what you're having right now when you're having that sort of cancel culture sort of stuff within people who are, in their passions of safari hunting. Yeah, you take a picture with a lion and all this stuff happens, and now they're shutting down lion hunting. Well, now you're shutting down the resources,
economy.
Right? You're shutting out the families that needed those water buffaloes put out in Africa in order to actually have access to water and access to food.
Right. And now they're going to start hunting them.
Yeah,
for money.
Yeah, probably. And now you're going to start having illegal hunters. And guess what? And now you're not paying the guys out there to actually, protect it and push off would-be poachers. Yeah. Now they're not out there. Now the poachers have free reign, and you're going to see a lot more animals get extinct and stuff like that. And
there's sorry.
No, go ahead.
There's a really good story about this that I read probably 6-7 years ago. There's black rhinos. Poachers kill them for their ivory for the Asian markets. Basically, their horn on the front of their head. So basically, there's a black rhino that inside of
a black rhino. I've never seen one of those.
Like a black rhino, I think technically they're extinct in the wild.
Okay.
The only ones that are alive are
captivity.
In captivity.
Yeah.
So they had an old black rhino that could not breed, was killing the younger black rhinos, the younger juvenile ones, in captivity. So they need to get rid of it. Like they can't, even though they're basically extinct, they have to get rid of it because it's killing the other animals. So what they did is they put a lottery out for basically a bidding war for just to be able to hunt this rhino. $375,000, $385,000 they raised for conservation to help the black rhino. Yeah, you remember this?
I do.
It was insane that the backlash that they got, because all you would see is hunter kills
of course
endangered black rhino. That's all you saw. But that's what you saw in the headline. People don't read the story.
Of course not.
No one read that this money went straight to protecting black rhinos, and they were going to kill it anyways. They're going to euthanize it.
Right.
So why not raise money to protect the rest of them?
Yeah.
This thing was
seems logical to me.
Juvenile black rhinos within captivity, and yet they raised a bunch of money. I mean, $370-some thousand or $80-some thousand in a third world country to protect something is a lot of money.
It's a lot of cash.
But yet, all you saw was a headline: "Hunter kills black," and all you see is the grip and grin.
Yeah.
But yet, this guy paid a ton of money. I mean, granted, I don't have that much money.
grip
But
I would
grin.
never pay that much money, but I mean,
but
good
that
for
went
him.
into conservation. The same thing happens here. We have a Rocky Mountain, or it's some shoot. It's basically a ram tag.
Okay.
We do the same thing in our country in very limited draw units, where they'll have a governor's tag, where in certain states, Montana I believe is one,
Got one here.
Utah, you can bid for an automatic tag. Now granted, they only give maybe 20 tags in certain units. You have to draw, and your percent of draw is 0.1% or 0.1%.
Okay.
But if you have enough money, you go to this big banquet, you bid on this tag, to be able to hunt one, and they raise $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, depending on the year,
Right.
and it goes straight to conservation to help the good of all the animals.
Okay.
But all you see is like, oh well, the numbers are down in this area. This rich guy killed this animal.
A lot of people
like, oh
don't.
my God,
Yeah,
like-
and a lot of people don't understand when you pull that tag, that doesn't secure a dead animal.
It's not
That's
guaranteed.
actually like a 30 or 40% chance.
Not
it
even
could-
that in some
yeah, it's
areas.
probably
It's like
even worse.
12%.
Yeah, and that governor's tag in PA for an elk, bull
For an elk,
elk,
yeah.
is 6 figures.
What?
Yeah.
It goes towards
6
conservation.
the high bidder, it goes towards conservation of the elk.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean, this
See,
is
that's
in a lot
not
of
that
states.
story's not conveyed to the public correctly.
No. All you
just-
see is
no,
rich
it's
guy
not.
kills.
Yeah.
yeah, rich
not
guy kills
endangered,
animal.
Or, rich guy kills this.
Rich guy.
Rich guy kills animal.
Or like the dentist that killed the lion, Cecil
You
the
don't
lion.
see a
Yeah.
rich guy killed fish. Unless it's a shark. Now, sharks get a little love. Think about it. Great whites and
Yeah.
And do the research on that. That goes back to Jaws, the movie, the first Jaws.
You gotta
yeah,
be shitting me.
great flick.
I swear to God.
Orca.
Swickley Theater,
Watch
front row, scared the shit out of me.
Me too, man. Orca, but the women in the movies were great. Jacqueline
Yes.
Bisset was
Oh,
in one of them,
Jacqueline.
and yeah. Anyways, okay, so let's talk about fowl for a second. How do we de-emphasize fowl, or in the pecking order of outrage, is the fowl a little bit above the fish but below the mammal?
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, nobody's really going out and petting ducks. So, and
And people think geese are assholes.
yeah, that too. And then we have a good story. We always tell
Geese are assholes.
we always
great story about that.
But we always talk, as far as like geese, we always use the thing, if we're going up and talking to a landowner, we see a bunch of geese in the field, we want to hunt them. We go up and the first thing we say, hey, do you want your cows dying? Because, geese actually carry diseases in their feces and stuff like that. Chances are they're minute that happens, but, that normally gets them like, oh, yeah, get rid of them. It's like, cool, we got a cool hunt.
I like using the hey, can I hunt your property? And they're like, no, hell no, because they always think their mind goes to deer.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm like,
all the time.
no, I want to hunt geese. They're like, what? Do you do that? Yeah, I don't care. Kill
You
them all.
do that? You do
like, like kill them all. And I hear
See, it's so
kill them all.
it's so
all the time. I'm
subjective,
like, oh
man.
my
It's
God.
so subjective.
It's still it's an animal. It's the same. Yeah, it's funny how that works. And
That's
like-
exactly what that guy did. And like the last place we hunted this year was the last day of goose season. And I was stuck in the snow. And yeah, but anyways, the owner comes up and he pulls up and these guys are setting decoys up already. And he's like, hey, I heard you guys had a good day yesterday. You guys gonna get the rest of them today? Well, we're gonna try, sir. He's like, good, kill them all, man. I gotta get them out of here.
Wow, goose hunting.
Yeah.
It's funny how that happens.
Don't shoot a swan.
No. Unless it's a mute swan. Those are
you can shoot a
those are
mute.
invasive or non-native here. So.
Yeah. Don't shoot a swan.
No idea what you're talking about.
It's such a deep rabbit hole that no one
Yeah.
knows. It's crazy.
Well, it is crazy. So who is in charge of representing you hunters to put a positive message out there? Is it the NRA? Is there a or is that a vacuum right now? There isn't any.
There are a few
combination.
organizations. You got the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. You got the Grouse, the Turkey Federation.
Well, you have Ducks Unlimited, Del
Ducks
Waterfowl.
Unlimited.
They still sell the duck stamps. I used to collect those
Yeah.
as a kid.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of those.
And what is it? 100% of the money bought?
98 cents of that stamp goes towards conservation. The other 2 goes towards the,
Admin.
admin, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paying the secretary and all that. But yeah, it's a very extremely good. And I think I said this last one. When it was voted 98 people voted for it, 2 people voted against it, and the only 2 people who voted against it said it didn't go far enough.
Wow.
So they wanted it to go farther. So 100% of the people, and bipartisan.
Do you
said,
think
yes, we want
hunting,
this.
maybe hunting and I would say, I guess hunting and fishing, do you think there needs to be an organization to put the sportsman's cause out there in a efficient, strong way to combat the other antagonism that's coming. Do you think that needs to happen?
They kind of are, to a degree,
Are they
with
unified,
all these
though?
organizations.
Are they unified in one message?
I think so. In the grand scheme of hunting, I would say yes. But
yeah, it's.
Well, you've got
it's
also got like
They're just not
Safari
big enough.
Club,
yeah,
And you've
Dallas
got-
Safari Club.
It all falls
Pope
down.
and Young, Boone and Crockett.
It all falls on the shoulders of the commission, the game commission.
Okay.
For the state.
Statewide.
They should be the ones that are more or less in charge of showing
PR.
how right, showing how. But generally, what we have going on right now generally goes straight to conservation rather than actually going out to the public and say, hey, this is a good thing. I mean, they're starting to do it. I'm seeing a lot of the PA game commission. They're starting to put out a lot of different videos out now in trying to get people to understand what we're doing for the waterways to create better fisheries. And if you're starting to catch more fish, it's because we have better waterways,
and cleaner water.
Yeah, and so I think they should be on the front lines of kind of tying in all of that fishing and hunting sort of thing. And the game commission is where generally 100% of our licensing and permits go to.
Right.
And then beyond that you have the what is it, the tax
The
Pittman
Robinson.
Roberts.
Yeah.
That goes for the game lands purchases.
right.
It's
So-
an
Do you
excise tax.
do you have a problem with the hikers and the bikers and
Not paying into that
Yeah,
tax?
well,
not paying into that
yeah.
tax,
and
then
I think it needs to
claiming
be.
use of
I
the
never
property?
thought about that, but yeah, I do actually. I mean,
They're using the same lands.
Well, they've
They're-
talked
Yeah.
about charging fees for them to use mountain bikes.
Yeah.
Charging fees. Once you charge a fee, you give them a say.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
So
very
you
good
point.
don't
too.
do it.
They don't have a say
Interesting.
right now, but
Interesting.
if they pay into it,
Yeah.
yes, then they do.
If
have
they
a
pay
say.
into it, they have a say. So
Yeah.
don't keep your money.
I never thought about it
And
that
wear
way.
orange when you're riding your bicycle and quit complaining about hunting.
Yeah.
You're going to get your ass, buckshot in your ass.
And there is that a group out there called Backcountry Hunters and Snaglers. I don't know if you guys heard of them. They're pretty new.
Okay.
They go to Washington and fight for our rights to hunt, and we just recently got one in Pennsylvania. So they started out west, I think, in Montana, or no, I'm sorry, Utah, I believe, and they've spread everywhere. And now they're the boots on the ground in Washington, basically helping
Okay.
hunters and anglers have a say.
Hunters and anglers.
Did they ever
Anglers.
make it a constitutional right in PA yet? to
Not
hunt?
yet, no.
They're working on
No,
it.
I think it was 32 or 42 states actually have a constitutional right to hunt and fish.
Mm-hmm.
To us, it's a privilege here, technically,
Okay.
but they are slowly passing state by state.
Got it.
It's a constitutional right for you to hunt and fish, just like to own a firearm or whatever it
Right.
might be.
Right.
And I think that's huge. Honestly, God,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal to a lot of people, but I think when a grand scheme of things, because what happens is the anti-hunting groups and fishing groups, I kind of lump them together, which some people don't see it that way, but they chip away at your rights. So like California is a great example where they took away the right to hunt mountain lions with dogs. You basically can't hunt mountain lions without dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Then they slowly chipped away at that, and now you can't hunt mountain lions at all. It's like, oh hell, what happened? Like they just slowly
Yeah.
chip away.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, you can't hunt deer in Pennsylvania with a rifle, and then it goes down to a bow, and then it goes down to
dear God.
nothing. You know what I mean? Like it just like they kind of, it's
You'd have a
very
war if
systematic
that
the way they do
Well, we're all going to be using bows as soon as they take our guns.
it. Well, yeah, but like it's just
You know
funny.
the ones I lost in that boating accident last year?
Yeah.
It's just yeah.
Now, do either of you two guys deer hunt?
Yes,
You
absolutely.
deer hunt,
Oh
yeah?
yeah.
I'm getting into it.
Okay.
So the last 3 years,
know you do.
unsuccessful.
I do
but
a little bit,
All right,
yes. A lot of it.
Let's talk about deer hunting for a second.
right.
Okay, because this is the thing from our generation, Bill. Like most of the dads.
Yes.
Not my dad.
My
Don't
dad
know how that
never.
happened.
My dad never hunted either.
But it was.
I
But
did
most
this-
of the fathers, they that was a rite of passage almost
Right.
to take. Fishing too. But I mean, rite of passage to take their son deer hunting.
And they would go up north to the camps.
Absolutely
No
right.
one
Yeah,
hunted.
yeah,
No
yeah,
one
yeah,
hunted
yeah.
here.
Tyne Nesta, yeah.
Tyne Nesta.
Ty and Esta.
Yes.
what is the state of deer hunting now? The reason I ask that question is there seems like there's more deer walking my neighborhood than there ever has been.
Turmoil.
It's on a decline.
So what's going on with
Well,
that?
it depends where you're at.
Yeah.
Certain areas of the state are overrun, and other areas are overhunted. You've got
Okay.
private property. You've got public land.
Well, how did that happen? How did it get so lopsided?
It's just
The way
the way it's
Hunters
been
went down.
managed.
Way it's been managed, amount of hunters has gone down
Yeah, the hunters have been on a slow decline.
since
What's causing that?
since World
you
War
think?
Just
II.
Computers and cell phones and
Okay.
video games
Social media.
and social
Not
media.
young people coming up, maybe.
There are no
not.
young people coming up. They're recruiting.
Yeah,
We're a
there's
dying breed.
no
I've been saying it for
recruitment.
years.
So why? Okay, if it is situational, it sure seems like I've lived in Mount Lebanon. I've lived in Moon Township. I've
Mount
lived in
Lebanon
Beaver.
is overrun.
Hunters,
There's deer. I mean, it's insanity. There's so many
Hunter-
deer.
hunter
like, all over
access.
the- I
Do you
mean,
see those signs that says "Not in my yard"?
Yeah.
Did you see those?
I did not know.
That's the hunting signs. Did you know about this?
Okay. What?
They actually instated a bow hunting in Mount Lebanon, inside Mount Lebanon
They did.
neighborhoods.
Okay.
That's the only way to get rid of them.
And the only way you couldn't hunt in somebody's yard is they would have to put a sign up. I guess this
Not
is
in my yard.
This is like 4 or 5 years ago.
I remember.
This-
Yes.
Yeah, not in my yard.
So I had a friend. We will not mention names, but I had a friend of Bill and mine come in 2006 to my Mount Lebanon home and remove a whole herd of deer that were not leaving my backyard. They had decided they are not leaving my backyard. No matter I threw sticks at them, didn't make any difference.
You could have called Bill.
I could call. I call Big Lou.
Nice. Nice.
Lou came up there and he goes, "Are you going to be home tonight?" I'm like, I don't have to be. He goes, "I would come home around midnight if I were you."
Big Lou.
Oh,
I came
dear
home
God.
midnight and they were gone, so I didn't ask any questions.
Yeah, it's you can't get
Was
into
Lou,
the
was
hunt.
Lou the guy that put the deer in the car and then shot it? You know?
Lou, I don't know what Lou would do exactly.
You
but I
figure you
knew
got
they were
no
gone.
access. It's
It-
the
it-
problem. Everything's locked up.
Yeah, and it
If
was
you do go
limited.
and hunt it, then the cops. Well, we used to around here. We were like cowboys.
Yeah.
We'd hit Brook Street Hollow. We'd hit Thorn Run Hollow. We'd storm it, take our deer, and run. And the game commission were always one hollow behind us because people would call.
Well, you're talking about archery. You're talking
I'm talking about shotguns.
No shit.
Blasting the yeah.
really.
Yeah,
Okay,
slug
so
guns.
let me ask this question. Well, here's another phenomenon. For all the years that I've been seeing deer out in public, you never see bucks, man. You see shit tons of does.
You got to come look at my wall at my house.
Well, I know,
But-
why are the bucks always in hiding? It
There's
seems
a greater number of does.
like? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be well, 1-to-1's perfect, I think, but 2-to-1, 3-to-1, I don't know what
on
it
your
is.
property. I mean,
Depending on the
and
property.
how much food,
but
food you have. Yeah.
bucks are a little more elusive, I'd say.
Well, there's no question. It's that there's so many more doe visible everywhere.
Everybody's after a buck. Everybody hunts a buck, and bucks get smart to it.
Yeah,
They
but so
get
do mature
smart.
does. A big
Yeah,
mature
mature
does
does,
just
same
as
way.
just as
Yep.
smart.
So there's a buck season and there's a doe season. Is
Right.
that right?
This year they're going to run concurrently though for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Which
For-
never
for-
happened
for rifle.
growing up.
Okay.
Well, it did for me, but then you guys are young.
Yeah, like in the mid '90s,
Yeah.
I remember seeing herds of doe, not a buck in sight. If we didn't see 100 plus,
There's still a lot
Deer,
around.
yeah.
I had 25 in my yard the other night.
what was doe season back then? A couple days.
It was 3
There
days.
A Monday, Tuesday,
It was
Wednesday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Everybody was at work. No one shot does. You had to apply for the
Right.
tag,
Okay.
which I always forgot to do, of
Okay.
course. So everybody hunts bucks. Bucks get smart. They get wise. Does, they see hunters. They don't get shot at. They don't see their friends dropping beside them.
They are smarter. You can tell the difference
can
too.
tell.
If you're sitting in a tree with a bow
They'll
and
be
you
looking
see a
in
deer
tree.
approach it from a distance and you don't see a rack, you could just tell by its mannerisms if it's a buck, the way it walks.
A buck will look up in the trees too because they've been hunted from
Okay.
tree stands, which is crazy. I just think that's so cool. Like you literally see a buck
They
walking up and
adapt.
they're like,
They're looking
and they're
around.
you know what?
literally looking up in the trees.
But
like,
they look like right through you though.
yeah, they do.
They could look you right in the eye and it's like he doesn't see me. It
doesn't
looks
see
like you think you're made, but meanwhile he's looking right through you. Of course you stay
Eyesight's terrible.
you're statued up.
Yeah.
Then the second he
All
lowers
you
his
see is
head,
the
you
breath coming from your mouth, like you're breathing, and that's all you see. You're like,
then you have to cough.
yeah.
You got to itch. Yeah.
I got an itch. Oh my god.
But it is funny because like their eyesight's terrible. but their smell, you cannot beat it.
Nope.
I don't care how much you spend on
I don't
scent control
buy into
clothing.
any of them
Yeah, you
gimmicks.
can't-
I don't
does
buy
not
into
work.
none of them.
I've seen a buck maybe half a mile away through a field literally pick up his nose and look right in my direction
Really?
and then take off the other direction. I swear to God. And I'm sure you've seen that
And
too.
if you're trying to call him in, you're working a grunt and you get his attention,
And he comes
he'll
downwind
circle downwind of you,
and they'll smell you.
then approach. Once he can smell where.
He's trying to figure out which buck that is by the smell.
Okay.
It's like me and you talking. I know your face, I know your voice. To bucks and to doe or to deer, they by smell because their
That's
eyesight's so terrible.
That's interesting.
But you know what? They can see okay, though.
They see movement.
They've
Yeah.
busted me before.
I mean, if you move, it's just like anything else. They'll see it. But if you're perfectly still, they're just like looking at a gray
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So again, non-hunter here. So when you shoot this buck, let's just say you're in your tree thing, and
Right,
you're looking
tree
out there.
stand. Got a bow and arrow or a rifle.
Or flintlock.
Let's talk
Or a
about.
flintlock.
Let's talk about. Whatever, we'll get to that. Let's talk about guns. So
Yeah.
let's say you have your shotgun.
Yes, with a slug gun. Okay, slug gun.
All right. So you see the animal.
Right.
Do you shoot it in the head? Do you shoot it in the foot? Where do you shoot
you
the
shoot it in a crease. You come back off the shoulder and try to get it in the vitals.
Whatever's visible.
So it's a one shot.
Well,
So
it
it's a
depends
one
on
shot kill.
it is if
Brown.
you're proficient at your
Yeah,
craft.
well, the idea is you're supposed to do.
You're
one.
supposed to be proficient in your craft. And
Okay.
yeah, it should be a
Now-
one-shot kill.
Now that's the humane way to do it, right?
Right.
And the other reason you do that is you don't damage any meat.
Meat.
Right.
Right.
Oh,
Is that
headshot's
correct?
the ultimate meat saver, but
Well,
but I've made that mistake, and I'm not telling the story. But anyway,
I know exactly what happened.
yeah, my
Yeah.
God.
That's why I don't shoot deer in the head.
I don't either.
I want to, but I just I know. I'm
4570.
very efficient.
Hey, 4570 too. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean it's very efficient to do that and to save the meat and the stress of the
No.
deer and the stress of the meat.
put it
goes
in the
way
vitals.
down. Yeah, I mean like so if you shoot a deer and it runs, all that testosterone and adrenaline
Releases into
releases into the meat and it tastes more gamey. If you shoot in the
that's
head, it
interesting.
goes straight down. It's just like killing like cattle.
the meat.
What is it? They
When
do
they do
a
beef.
22
Yeah.
straight in the
Cattle,
forehead.
cattle
So,
prod.
Yeah, there's there's like different ways to do it, but straight to the forehead, straight down. Cow doesn't feel anything.
No adrenaline.
Okay,
No
so,
adrenaline, no
so
stress.
you shoot the deer.
Shoot
you,
the deer.
You slowly climb out of your tree thing, and you're gonna walk over to the deer. It's laying on the ground.
Right.
Now, is that where you got the animal right
Yes.
there on the spot?
First thing you do is tap it with your gun, make sure it ain't alive.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to get kicked or.
You don't want to get kicked or hooved, or
All right.
sometimes you have to wrestle if you don't do that.
Put a rear naked choke on
Put
him.
a rear naked choke.
My buddy did that in Alaska.
Figure four-leg
God.
lock.
No, I swear to you, my buddy did that in Alaska.
on a Sitka.
Yeah, well, he didn't quite put it in a choke hold, but we killed one in Alaska, and it wasn't quite dead. He spined it. Now, granted,
What does that mean?
So, like when you
Hit
spine
it in the spine with the bullet, so you paralyzed it,
it just straight down. It looks like it's dead.
but it
It's
ain't.
still alive. It can't feel anything, but it's still alive. And it was his first deer. Or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, it might have been his first deer ever. So you know what to do. So you kind of like held it. And I'm like, no. And,
You UFC'd it.
yeah.
I've seen it.
There's different ways of putting a deer down, but like I feel in that situation the quick and humane way was to cut it. I hate to say this, but to cut his throat.
Yeah.
But he had a dull knife like the knife you had in Florida,
Yeah.
and he cut it, and a lot of blood came out, but it took a while for the deer to die. So I kind of went in and kind
Right.
of finished the job. But at the same time, it's like he spined it, but they're not always dead.
Okay.
And there's humane ways of doing it. The quickest way is always the best way, in my opinion. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you don't want to see anything suffer. We're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
out there to
it's-
make animals suffer.
It's horrible. You
Right.
feel so bad. I didn't even
You know?
shoot the deer, but at the same time, like he was new, and,
Right,
and
right.
we're in Alaska. Like we're like, I don't know, 60 miles from the closest town. Like everything was just like weird. you
Okay.
know?
Okay.
But
You know.
you live and learn, and
And
So when
sometimes
you-
you do wound them.
So explain the process of gutting a deer. Again, I've never done it.
Got it in a deer. It's not fun. I normally pull him out of get him in an opening and start at the anus and rip to the
Okay.
right below the chest cavity there.
sternum.
And
All the innards they just fall
you
out.
take
right?
all the
No,
innards
no.
out and you
They
trim
don't-
out around the hole and get all that bad stuff out of there. And
Do you bury the innards, or what do you do with the
You
innards?
throw it
No.
there.
Make raccoons happy.
Yeah, every-
Raccoons eat it.
Ah, okay.
If it's a buck, you put the balls hanging on a tree.
That's a generational thing, I think.
Oh yeah. You leave your mark for the next guy. Goes, oh man, he got a buck.
But you hang the balls from a tree.
Just there's the balls. Hang them up so you can, like
Nothing
display
entice squirrels
like,
or something.
No, just so the next hunter that comes through is like, damn, that guy got a buck here. Look, the balls are hanging right there.
It's been huge.
So you leave the entrails. You just leave.
You
them
leave the
there.
entrails for the critters.
Yeah, they'll last one night. They'll be gone.
Yeah, normally coyotes get them.
Okay.
At least around here, there's a ton of them.
So, when people talk about eating organ meat,
Yes,
can you eat deer organ meat?
yes. The heart.
That's the entrails.
You
Or the
eat the-
intestines are the entrails, right?
No, it's all organs. It's all guts.
I wouldn't eat the intestines.
I wouldn't eat the
No.
intestines. I never had deer
Do
chitlins.
people eat the intestines?
If you're
Not
surviving,
deer.
maybe.
No,
Yeah, not that I know
no.
of.
The heart for the most part, and liver.
Heart, liver, kidneys.
Kidneys, I never ate.
I never eaten them either, but I know a lot of people have. And
I've had the heart and the liver. I'm not a fan of liver. The heart's okay.
About the brain?
No,
No,
you
especially
get-
not these days.
Not these days with the chronic wasting disease and everything else
CWD,
that's
yeah.
Okay.
going around.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a huge
Have,
disease.
have you collected
Only with
the-
fava beans.
With bottle candy.
Have you collected the heart? Or did you
I
collect
have.
the heart?
I actually collected about 6 of them one year for my daughter's biology class when she's in high school. She got extra credit for bringing hearts in the dissection up in Moon High School. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I had 6 hearts.
Okay.
And heart's just another muscle.
Right.
It-
right.
I mean,
right.
it's just
right.
It's a little bit tougher. You have to. I slow cook mine.
Okay.
After you trim away all the fat and everything, just slow cook it.
Doesn't it
Just
seem
like anything else.
interesting though? Again, I'm talking as a non-hunter, but isn't it interesting how there's all these does running around, and they're obviously in this area, anyways. It seems like it's a shit ton of them, right? That maybe we're just not hunting enough. Isn't that like available meat and usable meat that could
Absolutely.
be
It's
harvested and then maybe to help feed
Yeah.
people?
It's better meat than buck meat.
For the
I
most
mean,
part, I
right.
mean,
Well,
the
a
buck
lot of
during
people-
the rut, yeah. I
Well,
mean,
a lot of people donate their money. The hunters for the hungry. What is that program? Hunters
yeah.
for.
I don't. I'm shameful to say this. I take my own meat and I usually give
Yeah.
it away to family members or my.
But there's an
all eat
organization
it.
that'll take the meat and it goes
Yeah.
to food banks.
But you are
Cool.
correct in saying that. Yeah, we could take away a lot of those deer
Yeah.
because you get
You
into
couldn't really do it with a
disease and stuff, too.
firearm
Yeah,
just because of safety
It's too
issue. But a
rural-
bow and
or
arrow,
urban.
archery's a good tool for urban,
Okay.
suburban.
but like what you were saying, there's a lot of free meat that could go to good causes.
Okay.
But there's not a lot of hunters in this area. I mean, every year, what is it, 2B never gets sold out for doe tags.
This is 2B right here.
So like there's different units in Pennsylvania. So
Okay.
like 2B's Allegheny area, like Allegheny County area, they're never sold out.
well,
There's
they,
not enough people buying doe tags.
do you see
to
they
actually hunt
changed the
them.
rules this year for the doe tags?
No.
You can have 4 on your person at any time.
Oh, that's good.
in
So
any
it's one
unit.
more.
But you can buy it. Once you shoot one, you can go get another tag.
But how many people?
So
do
they're
that, though?
unlimited.
Yeah. So
They
like,
made them unlimited until they're sold out.
Yeah, but like, have they ever been sold out in Allegheny?
Yeah,
Oh,
a
they
couple
have?
of years ago.
Really?
They didn't last year. Yeah,
Really?
they've sold out in
Well, I mean, that's
late
good to hear.
rifle.
That's good to hear. But like,
Yeah,
back
right here
home,
it did sell out a couple of years ago.
That's good. And I didn't know that.
because
So
I
I'm
hunt
sure
2B Washington County.
Yeah, I hunt 2B and then
And they've sold out
Two,
before.
2C.
By rifle season, they normally sell out of doe tags.
yeah, because like back home, like we got the first day of buck off for school, and like I remember being in Alaska, Kentucky, several states are like, "Do you guys really get the first day of deer season off?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like you guys
Pennsylvania.
don't.
National holiday.
Yeah, it's like you guys don't do this. Like no, like this is like
Well, when we were kids, we used to, if our parents would drive us up, past the old airport there was just every
Deer everywhere.
well, there was cars parked, like the first day of hunting season, there was
Right.
cars parked on the highways
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Oh,
man.
everywhere around here.
yeah,
Yeah. How old were you when you started hunting?
12.
You? 12?
Like 20,
9.
5.
Really? Really? You start late?
To be honest,
First time he ever hunted.
was with
Jersey.
him. Yeah, it was
Oh, yeah.
our famous New Jersey hunt.
So you're the mentor.
Kind of, yeah, a little
Nice.
bit to a lot of people. But yeah, his first hunt ever was in New Jersey for sea ducks.
Yeah,
Which I
nice.
mean, how many people can say that?
That's pretty
Yeah.
crazy. Sea ducks.
It's crazy.
That's nuts. I was
Yeah.
12. I was 12 years old. Walked into a local hardware store. They gave me an adult resident hunting license.
No,
No, never a junior hunter, no hunter
It's
safety, no
Coriopolis.
nothing.
It's Coriopolis.
So I grabbed my buddy Milt's double barrel 12 gauge. I went down Montour Creek and cut my teeth. 12 years old.
wow.
Times- yeah,
I did
times
not
change.
know
And
that.
once you have that, all you have to do is get back the following year, hand them your license,
once
and
you
they
have a
hand you
license,
another license.
we had to take hunter safety.
1977. I didn't take none.
You had
Took
to
a
take
gun to the
100
woods.
safety scores?
I better be.
Yeah.
They're gonna be coming. They're gonna be coming. Hey, McKenna, they're coming for me now.
Hey, you self-incriminate. It's not my
It's all
problem.
right. I plead the fifth. Too late.
Statute of
Is he-
limitations.
so, I would imagine if there-
1977,
I would
that
imagine
would
if
have
there's not that many gun hunters. There has to be even less archery hunters then, right?
Actually, the archery's up.
It's good. Yeah, it's becoming higher every year.
Crossbows
So I can
up.
see you as an
archery's
archerist.
up.
Do you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to
Yeah.
say I could just see
Well,
you as an archerist.
As far as me, for like, wanting to get into deer hunting, I told myself that I wanted the greatest challenge at deer hunting, and that would be archery.
Okay.
You have, it's one thing to just, pull up a rifle and look in the scope and shoot a
Right.
deer off 200 yards, 300 yards, but it's another thing to have a deer walk up on you at 20 yards, and to have to, go out and
Draw the
scout
bow.
these deer and, learn their, patterns and which way they're going to, come
Yeah.
into a property
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like that. So, and then setting up on the trails and stuff like that, that takes a lot of work. And I was like, you know what? I know I can do it rifle, but I want archery.
A lot
I
of
wanna try to
patience.
get 'em.
Yeah, a lot of
There's
patience.
a lot of patience, and just like fishing teaches you to be patient. So I figured it'd be no different. But it does. It is a little bit different when you're up there and you're not like casting a rod a bunch of times. You're just sitting in a tree.
You wear a harness
Freezing.
And yeah, I
all
do.
the time.
Now you do.
100%.
You probably didn't.
I
Prior.
didn't prior, dude.
Until the fall.
Yeah, always take your harness.
Well,
Listen, I was 50 years old and I forgot my harness. Me and my buddy, we get back to the tree. Like, you know what? I've done this 100 times. I don't need that harness. Get the stand up about 26 feet because it kind of dropped off below the tree.
You're talking about climbing trees.
I've got a lock on I'm putting in
Oh,
with
okay.
sticks. And I got the sticks up and I got the lock on up. I got it set. I'm like, I'm going to move that. I don't like the angle. I'm going to turn a little bit. So I loosen the strap and I spin the stand. And I go to pull it tight again. Well, when I was loosening it, kind of come off, and it was just like this, the hook. And when I yanked, I shot backwards off the tree, hit the tree behind me, and it threw me forward. And I put my left hand out and plowed my forehead, and my left hand took the whole end of the ground. And man,
You were lucky.
Yeah.
Oh, real lucky. I broke my wrist, bruised some ribs, concussion, bruised all my insides.
Spill your beer.
Listen, it's hey, all I know. It's a $16,000 helicopter ride from Weirton Hospital
Jeez,
to
man.
Presby.
damn.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I never listen. I swear by him. Lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
How did they find you? Like
My buddy was with me,
Oh,
and listen,
okay.
he was an Army Ranger. All I could hear, I'm laying on the ground, and I'm testing shit. I can't breathe yet, but I know I'm alive. I'm cognitive, but
Yeah.
I'm out of it.
Yeah.
I move my toes. I'm like, okay, my toes. I'm moving my toes. I move my fingers. I still can't breathe. And the whole time I hear him going, oh my God, he's dead. Oh my God. I'm thinking to myself, Jesus,
a
I
ranger?
want to scream, shut up. Okay. And the first thing come out of my mouth was, where's my damn hat? I lost my hat. So I walked out to my quad. I went into shock when I got to Weirton Hospital. And I just think it was everything hit me.
You walked?
I walked like a quarter mile to my quad. I wouldn't let no one touch me. I was hurting
How many feet you fall?
26.
Damn.
And you were able to walk.
If you could call it that, it took a long time. But I wouldn't let anybody touch me. Everybody wanted to grab me, and you couldn't touch me. I was like a giant bruise.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was bad.
Wow.
It was bad.
Bought over.
Damn. Yeah, and that's primarily because you weren't harnessed in.
I was not harnessed in. I was not. The harness was back on the quad. I forgot to carry it in.
Learn from your elders.
Live and learn.
Absolutely.
Listen, it hurts. I got lucky, man.
Now, do you
Any
use
residual events or any residual effects to that?
I don't know. It's cumulative. My whole body hurts. Yeah. Yes.
It's
Yes. Every injury I ever had, I feel right now. I don't recommend that at 50.
You're gonna have that.
Well, yeah, I think I have that now.
Oh, you're
I'm
you
waking up
just
right
wait.
now, and I'm just elbows and knees and
Shoulders.
Yeah,
It's like my shoulders are going. I actually shot a crossbow the other day. I got a crossbow for Christmas.
What's the
it's all
difference?
downhill from there.
Okay, so what's a compound bow and what's a crossbow?
A
What's the difference?
compound bow is like a standard bow, except it has cams on it, and it has some let off.
Some
and it helps.
mechanical.
It's
Yeah.
a
assistance.
mechanical assistance.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
you have a longbow, which I've been shooting for 10 years, which is like an Indian. It's a stick and a string and some
Okay.
wooden arrows.
Okay.
That's how I've been hunting.
Like fishing with like a twig and
Like fishing
twine.
with a twig and a twine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, now the crossbow is like a compound inverted this way.
It's horizontal.
Horizontal.
Okay.
You've seen the medieval movies with
Yeah.
the crossbows at the castle.
Oh, that's a gun.
It's a
Okay.
gun. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's got a scope on it and shoots like 400 feet per second. And
So wait a second. The crossbow is the bow is
It's a
the
bolt.
bill's pulled back and the arrows pulled back and connected to it, and
it's
then
a
you
hook.
release
You
it
have
with
a
a
trigger.
Yes.
And it has a stock.
That seems pretty
And a
badass.
scope. It is. It's carbon fiber.
I just-
Listen,
Just take
it's
the,
like shouldering an AR, dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
just take the
that's-
lower half of the AR and then put like some medieval shit on top of it.
That's exactly
If I
that's
was
what
gonna
it
hunt,
is.
That's
dude.
what I would want.
Well, listen, I still may hunt with my longbow, but the problem with like getting old, aches and pains, you have to practice a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I shot instinctive, no sights.
No
I
shit.
hunted like an Indian.
Okay.
Well, if you don't shoot once or twice a week, you lose it. And you owe it to the deer to be proficient. I don't want to go
Right.
out there and pincushion the deer.
Right.
So I picked up the crossbow and we'll see what happens. I've been taking a lot of grief from
I bet.
oh, they're busting my balls.
I bought the wife a crossbow this year to, help
See?
her to get out
See?
Be
outdoors.
around much longer.
Yeah. But the funny thing is like you pointed out, I had so little time to practice
Okay.
with my compound bow. Because if you don't practice, you honestly, like you said, you owe it to the deer to practice.
Okay.
Because if you want to have a quick and efficient kill, you need to practice. It's not like riding a bike.
No.
It's nothing like that. If you don't practice, your proficiency will go down.
Okay, that makes sense.
Even shooting your rifle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah,
Even-
same thing.
But
But
yeah.
like the crossbow, I can pull that thing out, and I got it for her, but I
Right.
used it 50-50 this year probably because
Yeah.
I mean I know if I put that crosshair on
It's
a
gonna
deer,
hit.
it's gonna hit.
As long as you don't
exactly
pull
where-
the shot or jerk
Yeah.
something, it's going to
Oh,
hit.
it's that precise then.
Oh, it's very.
It's like shooting a rifle. Yeah.
I mean, I hit a doe this year exactly where I was shooting, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like this thing
Yeah, they're
is
scary.
ridiculously accurate, which is
Okay.
good for
But-
the deer."
But I almost
It's good
think
for the
it needs,
deer, but it kind of takes the challenge away from the.
Yes,
I think it
I'm
needs to have
losing
its
it on
own
this end.
season. I think
Yes,
it needs to
and
have
that's the other
a
thing.
crossbow
That's the
season.
two amazing
because
points.
So they're all
it is-
mixed together?
Yeah, it's
it's-
considered an archery
it's
equipment
archery.
now.
Yeah. And then like I go back to Montana again. I don't think crossbows or actually I know crossbows are not in the archery season.
There, they have
You
their
can
own
only use them
season.
during rifle season.
Oh, in rifle season.
Yeah,
See,
so, like-
they're lumped them in with archery.
Yeah, they're like
See,
they're
I
like
used to-
they're
I
like
fought it.
completely separate.
When they were lobbying to get crossbows
And I
into
was
archery
kinda
season,
the
I
same
fought
way.
it and I fought it and I fought it. And then I switched to longbow and I fought it some more. Then I met some guys that had them and I was like, well, okay. I guess I don't care
they were
what
only for
anybody has.
disabled hunters.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the same way Montana still is today.
And
They
now I'm
still have an
shooting-
argument over it
I would
right
be a
now.
disabled hunter. I know I would qualify. I would qualify as a disabled hunter.
Yeah.
Really? No, I would be. I would. There's no doubt in my mind I would be. I feel bad for those deers, man. I'd be pin cushioning a bunch of them fucking deers. There's no doubt
It
in my
tastes
mind.
so good, and
Yeah.
you'll know here. Oh, obviously, I'm
I
sure
can't wait.
Yeah.
The Bill, what's the longest shot that you've ever made successfully? Did you know, like
Yeah,
distance wise,
on a deer.
with a gun?
Oh, with a gun?
Yeah. What are the limits of like a rifle in terms of accuracy?
Oh, you can shoot out to
Personal.
damn 1,000 yards, depending on
1,000.
depending on
yards.
who's shooting it.
Personal limits.
It's personal limits.
10. You're
My
saying
best shot with a
you mean like
shotgun
10
was
football fields.
with a 12 gauge shotgun slug. With a slug. in it.
Okay.
186 yards.
which
my
is
best.
extremely far for a 12 gauge.
Yeah, that's 186. But I had a really good.
That's 18 football fields.
No,
186 yards.
Wait, with a buckshot.
With a it's a single
I'm
projectile.
confused. Help me understand it.
It's a slug. It's a single projectile in a shotgun case.
It's not a rifled barrel. So it's a smoothbore barrel where
with a rifled slug.
with a rifled slug where it's not as accurate as a rifle.
But
If
this
you-
was a
if you take a
sabot.
rifle-
This was a rifle barrel with a sabot slug.
Oh, so it's pretty accurate then.
Yeah,
Out of
it's
200 yards.
200 yard shot.
Yeah.
A 200 yard
You
gun.
can take rifles and go out to 1,000 yards.
You got to 1,000 yards. But most
1,000 yards.
most kills around here are within 100 yards.
Yeah.
100, 150 yards.
95% of my deer have been taken within 80 yards.
Now with a
It's just
bow,
'cause-
my furthest was 36 yards.
With the
My
bow.
closest was 5 yards. The one I got this year was 8
Sure,
yards.
we come up to share his lunch with you or what?
With a longbow, I set up for a 10-yard shot when I hunt with a longbow. So
They'll get that close to you.
if you know what you're doing,
Huh.
it's just pulling a bow back and hitting them where you want to hit them. For getting close ain't the issue.
All right, talk a little bit about shooting birds. Fowl.
Grouse.
That's a whole
No,
nother-
because here's what I know as a child. Like I had my father had some friends that shot. They were duck hunters, and then a couple times I went out skeet shooting, which is supposed to emulate, I think, flocks
Yeah.
of duck. Is that right? I
It's
didn't understand
animal.
that whole
Flying
thing. So,
birds.
Flying
to
birds.
me, that seems like. Now think about it. Something's moving in the air, and you're trying to like clip it. That's got to be harder than shooting something that's just kind of grazing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
theoretically.
Yeah. Shuck, you got to time it. You got to get out in front of them and
Lead it.
lead it. And
It depends what type of ducks too. Like, I mean, if you're on like when we go to Chesapeake Bay or New
Yeah.
Jersey or whatever, and you're sitting in waves like this.
you got something with Benelli's?
Oh, I don't have a Benelli, but a lot of my friends do. But like if
Mossberg.
you're sitting in a Remington, we both
Remington.
use Remington
Do you?
First Maxes. Yeah.
It's okay.
But like when you're sitting in a boat going like this, and a duck's flying,
That
I
has to
mean,
be
the
insane
wind in
hard.
its butt is 50, 60 miles an hour, and you have to hit that little bird that's this big. It's not easy. I mean, it takes a lot.
Are you?
of
Are
practice.
you?
Are you a sky blaster?
No. I can't. That's a whole
What is
other
that?
story.
That's when you shoot too soon. The ducks are too high. And you
Too high, too far.
You drive them off.
Like we've
They
seen
do that up at
first
Plymouth
day.
Too, and in the blinds.
Yeah,
Wait, what do you mean?
You
we
been
went,
up
we
there?
went to
Help me
Geneva
understand.
Swamp.
What does
Did
that
you?
mean? Wait, what are you describing?
Sky blast.
Unethical shooting at ducks. Basically,
So they're in a group and you start shooting toward the center.
They're too high.
they're too far away.
They're too far away to be even shooting.
If
So-
you're thinking about a shotgun, like a 12 gauge shotgun with
Yeah.
steel shot, you're probably maxed out at what, 50?
50, 60.
50 is a long
Yeah,
shot.
that's a
Yeah.
long shot.
long shot.
Okay.
I mean,
50 yards.
You're
So they
low.
need to be coming in on you, or coming across.
Can
Yeah.
you use crossbow to shoot a duck?
If you're a badass,
people do that for geese. Yeah,
I seen a guy with a longbow crush ducks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What they call them, like the flu arrows or something?
they use a
like
flu, and he's crushing ducks. Man.
Wouldn't that be dangerous though if you missed that arrow is like going to land somewhere,
You
right?
break-
I mean,
well, everything comes down, it goes up. Even that shot.
so, okay, let's talk physics for a second because this is always
Okay.
something I didn't understand
You did have
either.
a physicist on the show.
Yeah, multiple. Three guys are going to answer a physics question for me.
oh,
that
jeez.
is
Thanks.
I gotta go take a piss.
Too late, buddy. So, I always wondered as a kid, like you'd see these movies, and before I realized they were all shooting blanks at movies, you'd see like these westerns and all that, and the Indians and the cowboys were shooting guns up into the air, and you see on television over in the Middle East, they celebrate stuff with people shooting in the air.
yeah.
Now, so when the bullet goes up, it goes up the velocity, and it kind of wanes, and it reaches an apex, and then it comes back down. It's not being shot down with velocity, right? It gathers velocity as it comes back to Earth, but it won't. But is it coming down at a velocity ultimately when it reaches Earth that it could hurt somebody?
Yes.
Well, for bullets, I don't know, but for
For
shotgun pellets,
Shotgun, no, because
Yeah.
I've been rained on.
I've seen many of
shot
them.
I
a
was
few
out
times in
squirrel
Geneva,
hunting and
so-
pheasant hunters rained down on me.
Yeah.
But a bullet, yeah.
I
What
mean,
is
it
it,
was-
33 feet per second? I don't know what the weight is, but ain't that the standard speed for when you're falling?
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Didn't you
I
pay
have no idea. I
attention
just
in
know
physics
shotgun.
class?
I don't
Mr.
know,
Moore.
I thought
Yeah.
it was what 120 miles per hour was the
140.
Was it 140?
143. Terminal velocity
Yeah.
for a human being, though.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's got to be
For a
based.
bullet.
It's got to
Well,
be
it's gotta
based
be-
on weight and volume and resistance.
Well,
And
we're going into a whole. I have no idea. I'm gonna
Get
back
it.
out of this.
Pop it.
you got a
Another
pen?
beer,
I can
let's go,
figure this
baby.
out.
You probably
No, I
could.
couldn't. Failed
I guess
out.
my point
What?
is, all those bullets going up, they got to come down
come down.
somewhere.
They do,
right?
but
But
no.
you never hear about anybody getting killed.
But
off
you're
of
really
a
not
stray
shooting.
bullet.
You're not shooting a single projectile. You're shooting shot up in the air for the most part. When you're
Yeah.
shooting a deer, you're shooting hopefully with a backdrop, and the deer isn't horizon.
Yeah.
Like I won't shoot anything that's horizon. There has to
That
have a
bullet.
backdrop. There has to be some woods, some dirt,
Okay.
something to
Somewhere for the
stop
bullet
the
to hit.
bullet, somewhere for the bullet to hit.
That's why it's always good to actually hunt out of a tree stand too.
You're shooting
generally
down.
shooting down the whole time. So
Right. But
You-
squirrel hunters, you
you-
could squirrel hunt with a rifle. 22 will
You're
carry.
shooting up in the sky there, right?
Yeah, if you're shooting them out of a tree.
the chances of that actually hitting.
Yeah, I was gonna say. The
I know, but
percentage of
it's
that,
happened.
It's happened. That's for
It
darn
has happened.
Sure. But the percentage of that little bullet.
Yeah.
I mean, those bullets are so tiny.
Right.
To actually hit somebody in a rural area. In a rural area. I can't imagine that the percentage is probably 0.00000.
Yeah.
Like,
Kind of like the Pirates making them play off.
or the
same
percentage.
percentage.
Go bucket.
Like that little thing that hits somebody. And it's happened. I've read about it. I've seen it on the news, even like going through a wall and like coming past someone's face. But like for that to happen, I mean, but like shotgun shells, like we've got rained on.
Oh, they rain.
I mean, like multiple times this season.
Really?
You're just like, just put your head down.
Yeah.
Just make sure you just cover your eyes up.
They bounce off you.
It did all around you.
Yeah.
Just from sky blasters, like we talked about.
Wow, that's crazy.
Sky busters, sky
Is
whatever
that
you want to
so
call them.
Yeah.
the people, I'm guessing people aren't shooting like
That's in public
like
areas,
ducks
though.
and everything with an archery bow, right? Because
No, that's not- that's-
that has to come down. Somewhere.
There's very few people that do that,
mean,
but I've
yeah.
seen videos, old videos of guys doing it. And hit the ducks. Not with every arrow, but you see that duck get hit and you just see it come down with an arrow.
And I'm sure that's in a completely rural area
Okay.
where you have like 2 miles.
He had
of
a
nothing.
dog and everything. Dog went out, got the duck,
awesome.
got his arrow in his duck bag.
I got the stick and the duck.
See, you can do that. You guys start using archery.
Oh, yeah.
You do it?
Well, I mean, not for duck hunting, but I mean,
I've done it
I've
for
thought
goose
about
hunting.
it
You can
because
bow
we
fish.
have a
Goose
couple,
hunting.
yeah, or bow fish too.
Bow fishing is
But,
another thing you can do. Bow
Wait,
fishing.
what?
Bow fish.
Bowfish.
Yeah.
You shoot carp and
this area,
roughage, as they call it, roughage, dirty fish, carp.
Catfish.
Catfish.
yeah.
Catfish is actually a game fish in Pennsylvania. You cannot bow fish it.
You can't.
I
Oh.
think you can.
Did they
You
change
can?
it?
I don't know. I just know
It's classified as a
When you
game
say-
fish.
Wait. You're trying to tell me you're going to walk through the stream with your
Or you're
bow
gonna-
and arrow,
or
and
you're
you're
gonna be
going to
in
see
a
it in the
boat.
water,
Or
and
you're
you're
gonna
going
be
to
in a
shoot a
boat.
bow into that fish.
Into the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually set up a platform on my boat to do that. The way my boat works, it's like very flat on
It's
top. We
mostly
put-
carp and suckers.
Yeah, it's mostly carp. Yeah, we have shot suckers, but like I did set up a platform and lights, and at night you just kind of creep down the rivers or lake or whatever.
Yeah, I'm
you
not sure on a catfish. You might be right, but I know they were
I
classified
know
as a
spearfishing
sport
wise,
fish.
Is
yeah.
spearfishing just in the movies, or do people like spearfish?
Oh yeah, I mean I've
Oh, they
spearfished
spearfish.
plenty of times before. I mean I haven't done it in at least a decade, but
Is that like jigging for frogs?
Kinda. I never used. Well, we use a spear gun in Florida, like
Oh,
an actual
use a
spear
spear
gun.
gun.
Yeah.
But when I was like in the Bahamas, like we would, it's a, I think it's called a Hawaiian spear. It's a wooden handle. It's about, I don't know, maybe 9 inches long. You put the spear through it, and then there's like a big rubber band on the back.
Okay.
And you pull it from the back, and you hold it through like the handle, and then you just let go.
It's like a
Slingshot.
slingshot.
Basically like a slingshot, yeah. And then I've done that. I can't tell you how many times. Now in Pennsylvania, our spearfishing laws are very strict for whatever reason. I don't have no idea why. But like you go to Montana, I can go back to Montana all the time. I don't know why. I just think I know some people there.
Anything goes,
And
Montana.
those laws. But Idaho's another part. I think you can walleye. It's a
Okay.
big deal. Like I would love to go to Lake Erie and shoot some walleye with a spear, but I think it's just catfish and like you said, rough fish.
Where are you going to go? What, swim for them or off the boat?
Yeah, like we dive down.
You're
we
going
get
to
weight belt
diving
on.
for walleyes.
Well, they do. They
when
do.
they're in.
They do
like,
spear
in closer to
fishing
shore.
on
Not
pike and ice too.
yeah, and that's the other
oh,
thing
really?
too. Yeah,
So they'll cut out a big.
and that's
like,
above water.
Yeah, So you're on the ice, and you can cut out a big square, and you just sit there, and you just kind of wait.
And you have a fish decoy.
Yeah, and they'll come up to the decoy, and you just.
I need a lot of whiskey to do that.
And you can use like a frog gigger. Like I'm sure you know what that is.
Frog gigger.
They use those for that too. It's the same thing. It's just like a big 8-foot pole spear.
With a trident on
What
the end
about
of it.
slingshots for small game and shit? People do that?
When I was a kid.
I mean,
Yeah. Under the Neville Island Bridge. If you were a pigeon, you were getting it.
I mean, I've seen some really sophisticated slingshots. That's why I asked that question. Like,
Yes.
is that a thing?
It could be. There may be.
Yeah.
They got
sure
they have
somebody-
a weapon called an atlatl.
Atlatl, yeah.
Atlatl.
What's that?
It's like a throwing spear.
ancient.
It's got like a piece of wood with a handle, and the spear lays this way, and you whip it forward, and it shoots a spear, a little dart-like thing.
Basically extends your arm by 3 feet,
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah.
So like say like he can throw a spear much further than I can because he has an arm probably a foot longer than mine. But like basically what it does is it extends your arm, so you hold this wooden thing,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then you put the end of the spear in it, and when you throw it, it gives you that extra 3 feet of, I don't know what you would call it, inertia or momentum or whatever it
Okay.
may be. But that was used in, I mean,
Ancient times.
12,000 years ago. I mean,
Okay.
that's a thing that's been used for
Guys hunt with
ever.
them.
What
Yeah.
about blow darts?
Blow darts.
yeah, blow darts are still being used.
Central America.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I
absolutely.
was in the Amazon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
You went to the Amazon.
Just a blow dart. Yeah, for blow dart season. No, I didn't go to the Amazon.
no, like Central America, South America.
Well, they actually hunt.
Christ.
They're still,
I've been to West Virginia.
Same thing.
but they hunt rabbits with blow darts.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Nice.
that's right.
So
I've
they
never
do-
done it.
Yeah,
But yeah, like-
I've seen it done. You know, rabbits are very fragile creatures, so you know
Where do you shoot a rabbit?
Anywhere you can.
anywhere
you
you can. Yeah, and normally you shoot it with lead shot, which is a lot of pellets that
It fills
eventually
it up.
shoots out. So you're just hoping to hit it because they're just
Running.
really fast, and so
So the difference between a single bullet and buckshot
This is a bunch of little
is
shots.
cheating.
Well, it's
No, it's,
It goes
one
from-
shoots a pattern and
well, it goes from single bullet buckshot, which is what 2, 3, 4,
to double aught.
to, and it goes
triple
up
aught.
in size from there. So you
Okay.
can like T shot is like big BBs.
Like if someone says 30-06, what's that mean?
That's a bullet.
That's a bullet.
Yeah. So it's one single projectile
That's a
coming
caliber,
out, and that's
It's
a
a
rifle.
caliber.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a 30 caliber bullet.
But when you go to shotguns, you can have buckshot. You can have, and it goes up. The higher it goes, the smaller
Smaller.
the BBs get, and the more condensed it gets. So like
Or use 7
T-shot's
or 8
huge.
shot for
Yeah,
small game.
all the way down. Yeah. So like T shots like the biggest, we'll say.
Okay.
And then goes the BB. Then goes 2, 3, 4, 5.
So you can use the wrong size ammunition for the size
Yes,
of the game.
absolutely.
Yeah,
You can
tear 'em up.
destroy an animal.
Yeah, I can destroy an animal.
Yeah.
Or not be heavy enough and the animal
Like we
gets
use
away.
BB or 2 shot for geese.
yeah.
And up
Okay.
from there, say you use 3 or 4 for ducks, because ducks are smaller, they're easier to kill.
And turkey
So you-
load is another load. A turkey
Yeah.
load will.
You can shoot what?
You could
I
kill a
usually
deer
use
with
5,
turkey
6
load.
shot.
What's turkey load? What's that mean?
It's just a heavier load, heavier.
It's tungsten or
Tungsten.
lead.
Speaking of turkeys, is there turkey season?
Yeah,
About to come up, baby.
about to come
You
up.
can shoot turkeys.
Oh yeah.
I don't, but these guys do.
Okay.
Yeah, turkey's fun.
Okay.
But yeah, you gotta have a heavy shot because they have feathers that are just like
course.
a shield. So
Oh, I've seen turkeys. I've shot, knocked them over. They
So you try to
rolled.
take her head off.
Completely done. I'm like, high five, and walk up without your gun.
Gone.
They get up and fly away.
They'll
Yeah.
fly away with an arrow in them.
Yeah, they are tough birds.
yeah.
And like you
Really?
said, it's a shield. Like you got to think like that thing with down with its
Yeah,
wings tucked
yeah,
in,
yeah, yeah.
all the feathers perfectly laid down. It's same as a duck. Like we don't shoot ducks out the water
Yeah.
unless we absolutely have to. You got to think that that's like just a body
Mm-hmm.
armor that they have. And I've seen literally BBs bounce off of,
That's nuts.
more off of swans than geese, but like literally hit it and bounce off the feathers.
That's crazy.
I was like, oh my god.
I mean,
This-
generally, if you think about
but
it,
we're using
especially
still shot too.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
still
that
shot's
too.
less lethal.
But yeah, I mean, generally those feathers are designed to make them float, so they've got to hold some sort of
And buoyant.
yeah
Yeah.
air and stuff in there.
And with waterfowl, you can only use still shot or
Yeah.
an approved like tungsten or bismuth. you can't use lead because
Okay.
Because of the waterways.
Because it's bad for the environment.
Yeah, it's toxic. So.
Bad for the environment, bad for the ducks, bad for whatever eats the ducks.
Well, they're
after
trying
that.
to. Well, they're trying to outlaw lead everywhere.
Yeah. California, I think, completely outlawed it. Like, you can't use lead bullets. You have to use copper or copper.
Like I reload bullets, I load lead for plunking. Like if I want to shoot my pistols,
Got it.
Just
I'll
cheaper.
just cheaper shoot lead.
Is there a bear season in Pennsylvania?
There
yeah.
sure is.
Do you do it?
I did this year.
Did you ever get a bear?
No. But I was there.
How many years?
I went to Clinton County.
How many years you been hunting bear?
2.
Oh, really? So it's a
Yeah,
recent thing
once
for you.
about 10 years ago and once this year.
Okay.
Once with a
What-
bow,
what made you
once
want
with
to
a
go out there?
longbow up in McKean County, and once in Clinton County with a rifle.
Okay.
Just to see the woods, it was beautiful.
Have you ever seen a bear?
Yes.
Okay.
Seen a bear in Alquippa.
We saw them
Yeah.
driving home from Erie.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I saw one in Aliquippa. There
Wow,
was one
that's pretty cool.
last year up at Raccoon State Park. They got video of him swimming in a lake. You probably seen it. It was all over the internet.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was in the news.
That's right by my house.
So is it bears are rarer, obviously, very rare.
No,
They're very elusive.
there's.
How
I
can a
think
bear
they.
be
There's tons of
elusive?
bears.
I
but
think they
they're very
shot,
elusive.
How
like-
can a bear be elusive?
They shot like.
smell.
I mean, yeah.
I think they shot like 2,300 this year.
Okay.
I think that they estimate around 20,000 in the state. 25,000.
Is there like an elk season in Pennsylvania?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a
You
draw.
have to draw a tag. I'm in.
That's
Lotteries.
All right.
I-
My name's in there 16 times. I've
was
yet
gonna
to
say,
be drawn.
I'm going on year 8. Still
Are
haven't
you?
got drawn.
Every year I've.
Do we have
No.
moose in this state?
No.
No, we have no moose.
No moose. No
Close
How do I
mine.
know that?
Well,
mean-
listen, a moose is kind of hard to,
I mean-
you know.
Yeah. Closest state that has moose
You got
is
something running around look like bullwinkle, you're gonna see
Would
it.
that be Vermont?
Yeah, you gotta look for
upstate
the.
New York on the
Maine.
border of
I
Vermont.
went
Yeah.
canoeing in Maine as a kid, and I came around this creek with my dad. I wasn't paying attention, and just standing right in the middle of this creek was this humongous moose, like 20 feet, 30 feet from me, and we just stopped dead in our tracks because I guess my father was like, "Don't move." I'm like, "It's a moose. What can a moose do?" I guess he was telling me the moose is on the loose. You don't want that thing charging you.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
more
they're
afraid of
they're
moose than I am
dangerous.
I was
Bear.
in Kodiak Island hunting deer, and I had one 15 feet away from me. If that was a moose, I'd probably be more afraid.
Wow.
And, like Kodiak
Really?
Island bears rival the largest bears in the world,
Yeah.
but they're hunted hard.
Wow.
So they smell a human, they're gone. I don't know how I walked up on it. That's probably the wind was
yeah.
blowing in my face, so he probably didn't smell me. But I could hear its jaw clacking,
Got it.
and it was so thick that I could barely see it.
Got it.
But a moose. I mean, we ran into a moose in Montana. Not me and him, but me and my buddy. And it was probably 30 yards behind us, and I've never been so scared in the wild in my entire life. Because I just
They'll
moose,
stomp-
they'll stomp you.
They'll stomp you.
Does it charge you? Will it charge you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and stomp you.
And especially, I mean, if you're like, and it's like we were fishing in a lake, and there was like high brush behind us, and it was like a real shallow lake. They love shallow water.
Right. That's what
I've-
this was.
Yeah. See. Yeah. And I had
They graze on the bottom.
what's that?
They graze on the bottom.
Yeah. Basically, like, we watched them after we got out of the area, but I've never been so scared in the wild, even
Of
with
a
a bear.
moose.
And I forgot to tell you this. I had a dead deer on my back.
Wow. You're no target, right?
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, I had blood all over me, dead deer on my back. Obviously I was afraid, but years later, that moose is behind us with another moose in tow, basically another 30 yards behind. We never even saw him. I was more afraid then than I was with a bear,
Wow.
just because those bears are hunted so hard. But we were in Glacier National Park at the time of the moose. They're not hunted hard. They don't give a shit about humans.
Right.
So like when
Right.
populations are hunted, they act way different. Like we saw a bear in Alaska come across our trail that was 2 days old, smell it and run.
Wow.
That's how hard they're hunted, and that's how like great their smell is. But a moose comes across, if it's not hunted, they don't care. Like you go down Glacier National Park or Yellowstone
it.
Park, they're
Got
all
it.
over the roads. People pull over. They're 20 feet away.
They're
Like, we
not
had
real
bison.
smart either.
Yeah, that's the thing.
They're
But,
dumb.
but like we had bison. We walked right up the bison.
Bears are intelligent.
Oh,
They're
and
a
that's what I was
canine
gonna say.
family. They're at least as smart as a
What
dog.
about buffaloes?
I
The
walked
great
up
white
on
buffaloes.
accident.
All right, Ted. Sweaty Ted. But I mean, there's no buffaloes in Pennsylvania. right?
No,
They used to
South
be.
Park.
They used to be.
There's some behind in the corral down there, right?
Buffalo carp.
Oh God.
They used to be. They got extirpated.
Yeah.
So,
during
can you,
market hunting days.
upstate New York, are there buffalo?
No.
No,
There's nothing on the East Coast for buffalo wise.
no, just elk. We got elk and carp.
How the hell did the town get named Buffalo?
There used to be buffalo there.
For the wings.
Now, there's been buffalo skulls found in Pennsylvania.
they were probably coast to
extirpated
coast.
in 1800s.
Okay.
I'm sure you guys heard of the market hunting days when we sold hides to Canada.
Right.
Across, you know.
Right.
They hunted waterfowl with punt guns.
Yeah.
Ever
punt
seen them
guns.
big giant punt
Oh
guns?
yeah, absolutely.
Wait,
I've
what?
seen them in
Big
person.
commercial shotguns. Listen, big giant, big fluted on the end.
As long as this table
Gatling
is.
gun.
As long as this table is, 2 guys to shoot the damn thing.
Wait,
They shoot into the flock and kill as many birds as they could commercially.
So think of a small cannon, okay, that's mounted to a canoe. Like they actually dug out a part of the canoe to put this gun in.
giant, big gun.
And back in the market hunting days, like in the 1800s, early 1900s, there was no laws against selling
anything.
Like we can't sell deer, we can't sell waterfowl. Like if me and him go out and shoot a limit of geese, we can't go and sell it to anybody. We can only gift it to somebody. We can't actually trade it. Like there's a lot of laws, and the reason for that is because we basically put everything extinct.
understood.
White-tailed deer are almost extinct in the U.S. or in North America. Buffalo, antelope. Mule deer, another one. Rocky Mountain Rocky Mountain elk, and also Roosevelt elk.
Hunted them to the brink
Yeah,
What
everything.
about rams,
Rams, everything.
out west.
Yep, absolutely.
antelope,
Rams are having a real hard time of coming back because of disease and pneumonia. But
I thought it was because of lack of quarterback.
but
We're a city, right? They jump around. Huh?
City.
Like elks-
You move around.
like elk and buffalo native range was actually in Pennsylvania. Like you would never think that,
Okay.
but their native range
Wow.
is only, I think, 12 to 13% of what they actually are now. They're in Colorado, Montana, Utah.
Right.
Like there's a lot of places with them, but it's only 12% of their actual native range. And it used to be plains animals,
Right.
but we've hunted them so hard that they actually would go like we'd say bucks get smart when you hunt them. Same thing with all other animals. Elk found their refuge in mountains, so now they're like a mountainous animal. Like we think of elk, I think of elk in the Rocky Mountains.
Right.
But they were plains animals.
Wow. I didn't know.
I mean,
that.
like it's the thing. It's kind of crazy. Like the way humans have affected like the Earth or North America.
Definitely
plains.
affected the earth, that's for sure.
But I can't remember what my original point was. What were we talking about?
Elk,
elk.
But like elk.
buffaloes,
Yeah,
expert.
I
Why
mean,
there's no buffaloes in
like
Buffalo, New York?
Like we tried to kill
Wings.
all the coyotes. Yeah, wings. We
You'll
tried,
never kill all coyotes.
Yeah, and the coyotes, we would never. Like we completely extirpated wolves from the North American landscape.
Let me ask you this question: like
That was
coyotes and
government
wolves,
run.
can you hunt those in Pennsylvania?
Wolves, we don't have any wolves.
Coyotes, 365
Yep, 365 at night, on
at night,
Sundays,
during the day,
everything.
whenever.
With
There's
an
no-
AR.
With an
there's
AR,
no
no
limits.
limits.
No limits. no
true?
rules.
Go get them.
So like, what people don't understand that there's
Really?
seasons for
Okay.
dock, deer,
There's
everything.
no season for coyotes.
There's no season for coyotes.
Because they're a huge problem. We
Go
No,
shoot them
they're,
up.
they're not even a problem. It's just they. So they started out in the American Southwest.
okay.
Well, they're kind of a problem.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, like, if you're
Got a small dog.
if you're
If you're a Yorkie,
yes, that's the other thing too. Urban areas have a lot of problems with coyotes killing
There's
their
coyotes in Quarry.
because they find them as competition.
I seen a coyote in Cash Market parking lot probably 20 years ago.
That's crazy.
And that's the thing. And the reason for that is we tried to kill them all. I mean, government-run
Extermination,
agency tried to
poison.
poisons. There's a witch's brew of poisons created to kill coyotes. We did it for wolves. Basically, the best way we got rid of wolves is you go out, you shoot a wild horse. Wild horse are everywhere, and we don't ever hear about them because we live in the east. Like it's not a problem for us. They don't hurt grazing rates for
Right.
cattle or anything for
Right.
us. They go out, they shoot a horse. Before the horse would die, they would shoot it up with, I think strychnine was like the big thing.
Poison the coyotes.
And it circulate through the blood system. The wolves would come in. So I'm talking about wolves now, but we tried the same thing with coyotes. Wolves would come in, they would eat it. if one wolf died, the first wolf they would take, they would cut off the scent glands and then put it around the horse. The other wolves would come in and then
They wipe them all out.
they would wipe them. The whole pack would be gone. Wolves in that case were extirpated pretty easily.
Wow.
And they're on a comeback now.
Yeah, and we've poured a lot of money bringing in wolves from Canada into like Yellowstone National Park was a big deal. And we pulled northern wolves down, which were a little bit bigger than our original ones. But we've also tried to reinstate the Mexican wolf.
Minnesota, Michigan, they've all got wolves.
I mean,
now.
they're in Michigan. Yeah, Michigan's huge too. Like it's a big deal. Like they're also talking about putting hunting season because they were on the endangered species list, and there's different types of wolves.
Okay.
But we've reached that. So the Endangered Species Act basically says like, okay, these we only have, just for argument's sake, 10. We need 50 to not be endangered. We are at 100 right now. I mean, we brought them back, and now the people don't want to see wolves hunted. So, like, we need to control these now.
Got it.
But, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, they're only on the landscape in, like, a small percentage of what they used to be. But
got it.
Going back to coyotes were so hard to get rid of.
Okay.
They wouldn't
breed,
fall for the same tricks.
They adjust their breed. They'll have bigger litters.
Yep.
If they're under pressure.
And
they'll just throw numbers at you.
I explained
They'll
this,
pump them out.
Yep. And I explained this to my wife. We have a coyote. Like, we live in a pretty we live in a neighborhood, you know. We have a coyote in the woods behind us, and at night you can hear it just woo, and it's the coolest sound in the world.
Did you hear a bunch of them?
Oh yeah, and I was surrounded by them. I have to show you guys the video. I was surrounded by them once in North Dakota, but when they howl, they're sending off. They're basically taking roll call. So when they do that, they're calling I'm calling Adam on the phone. If Adam answers, I'm like, okay, cool, he's good. I'm calling him on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's me howling, and I'm calling you. If you don't respond, I'm like, crap, something happened. Now, if I'm a female, I'm going into estrus. Maybe not immediately, but I'm taking roll call and like, okay, he's gone, he's alive. I'm gonna go in estrus. That wolf's gonna know to breed.
No time. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know.
But that pup,
No
I think you're a good-looking dude, but you know, I just it's not.
Could work.
It's not gonna.
I'm
just gonna drink this.
But yeah, like what happens is that like you just said, the coyote will have more pups and will go into estrus earlier, and then from there they won't stay in that area. They will spread to somewhere where there's not.
Oh, I get it.
So it's going from west, and now and all of a sudden they're in New York City. It's crazy.
That is crazy.
And I want to say, I was reading a book. I never finished the book, but I was listening to the
they're in every state in the union.
Yeah, they're in every state. I want to say, I can't remember how he explained it, but every canine in the world comes from coyotes in North America, and that's how old and smart they are.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
they make nice rugs. I
like
can tell you that.
Yeah, and everything you see in Africa, like all those hyenas and everything, that came from a coyote crossing the land bridge.
Really?
What was that called? The Bering Strait.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Did you talk to an Eskimo or something?
There's a guy made it, Coyote America. It's the book.
Coyote America?
Yeah, it's an amazing book. And
is he a hunter?
Well, he's a historian, but the guy interviewing him was a hunter.
Okay,
He is a hunter, and it's just it's an
you
amazing
You learned
book.
that from Tiger King.
He's the Coyote King.
Well, no,
Coyote King. You need your series.
And it's funny because like there's coyote, there's coyote. And the only I call them coyotes sometimes when I'm seeing people, or yote, and they came up with the funny
brown devil.
Well, they used to be called prairie wolves.
Prairie wolves.
When Lewis and Clark actually went down the Missouri, they called them prairie wolves because they looked like a wolf, but they were smaller. And they actually wrote in their journals they called them a prairie wolf.
Prairie wolf. I've heard that phrase before.
Yeah, and it's
prairie
they
dog.
thought they were prairie dog. And they didn't know what they were, so they actually killed one and examined it. They're like, "This isn't a wolf," so they called it a prairie wolf. And then the coyote name came out. It's like a Spanish name. It's coyote. And then, I mean, it's an amazing book and everything. But coyotes, the more coyotes you kill, the more they're gonna make. It's an amazing
it's like
adaptive
a rabbit,
trait.
right? The rabbits do the same thing, right?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, certain years rabbits have a tough year, but they always bounce back. And they make more.
They're resilient little fuckers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Well, they're on the hop, man.
They know how to procreate.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Do people shoot like or shoot? Do people hunt? Is there like a beaver season?
Yeah, trapping
Trapping.
season.
Otter. Wait,
Yeah.
that's
Otter, beaver.
That's trapping. So that's
Yeah.
different, obviously. Than
Yeah,
shooting,
fur
right?
bears, trapping, fur
Yeah.
bears. Yeah.
So do you trap?
I don't trap. I do have a fur bearer's license because
What does that mean? Fur bearers.
Fur. It's for trapping. Anything like coyote, fox, skunk, possum, coon.
Bobcat.
Can you still shoot
Bobcat.
them with a gun? Are you allowed to?
The coyote
Certain
and the
ones.
fox.
But not the otter and the beaver.
The otter and the beaver, no. You
I don't
have
believe
to
so.
trap.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're allowed to do it.
Yeah. You have
Okay.
to trap.
So-
I've never heard of. I know guys that have shot beavers.
I mean, like in
but
school, we learned about the trappers from the 1600s.
Yeah.
And they trap bear and all
There's
that.
no
I've seen
money.
bear
Man.
traps, right? But you're saying that the trapping, the essence of trapping is you set this mechanical device, put some
Right.
bait in there, and then you
Right.
hide it in the brush and you sit
However,
and
yeah.
wait.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you come back and check it every day.
Yeah. It was every 24 hours.
Every 24 hours, you have to check your trap line.
So, okay, that if you were living off of this meat, that sounds like a thing
They're-
you do to
most
live.
of them, they're not eating.
But how is that a sport, though? Like, I mean, is trapping a sport?
It's not as easy as it sounds.
Yeah,
It's not- it's
there's
not
a lot
easy.
of work to go
And
into.
they sell the fur, but
Oh no, I get it. Oh, I
But
get
there's
it
no
completely.
money
I
in
just
it,
didn't
though.
like. I mean, like shooting a gun. There's a level of skill there. A bow.
well,
I get
there is
that.
for trapping
fishing.
too.
I get that.
There's
Yeah.
more than
You have
trapping.
to trick their nose. You have
Yeah.
to trick
Oh, what?
You have to make them want to come to the trap.
Yeah, you
You
gotta
have
put
to
wax
funnel
on
them.
them.
Scent.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gotta put McRib
You
in there.
put scent out. You could put a McRib in there if you want to catch a rat. I like McRibs, by the way.
It sounds easy, but it's something that I have very very.
So that's
little
a whole
skill
thing,
in.
though.
It's
That's a
a
whole-
Yeah,
whole
that's a
separate
whole
type
different
of
separate-
hunting. Yeah, I wouldn't call it. I don't know. Yeah, I call it hunting.
I think you're allowed one otter. I think
What do you do with like an otter when you kill it? Like,
Skin it and
Pelt it.
hide and
Do people
pelt
eat
it.
it?
Nah, maybe not. I don't know. I wouldn't eat it.
Yeah, I think you're fish eaters.
Damn.
So.
Now,
water.
now I have to say beaver.
goats.
Beaver, you can eat beaver
Beaver's
tail.
amazing. Beaver tail.
I've eaten beaver.
It's good.
Okay.
Very very good.
Mm.
Very tender for. I mean, they're eating like what rabbits and like other things.
Got
They're
it.
grazers, yeah.
Yeah, like it's.
I've had
it's just a
beaver
very
tail.
good meat.
goats.
There's people
Wild
who can eat
goats.
coyote, believe
People
it or
shoot
not.
goats.
Yeah, goats. I mean, I hear goats. I hear. I think of like New Zealand, but like
Billy goats.
yeah. I mean, there's not much goat hunting. I mean, like mountain
Out
goats.
west, mountain goats,
Yeah, like
probably.
mountain goats. But like, are you talking about like mountain goats, or are you talking about just like regular goats? Like,
Like fainting goats. You
I don't
ever
know.
see them fainting goats?
Those are
They just
pretty
fall
easy.
over.
How about
Yeah.
how about
just scare it.
No, you see the ones that like climb trees and shit, stand in the trees.
I actually want them little dwarf.
How's
you ever
that
see
work?
them little dwarf pygmy goats?
Mm-hmm.
My girl won't let me have 'em. She won't. She won't. She said I can't have anything that eats, breathes, or shits. Guys, I ain't allowed to
Damn.
pet. I ain't allowed to pets.
Like when we hear goats in the east, like
A
we
beta
think
fish.
of
Yeah, I had those before. They're cool. In a little bowl, made bubbles.
Sea monkeys.
Yeah, I had them too.
These two won't know what that is.
They won't know what sea
No.
monkeys are, man.
A shrimp, right?
They
were
were.
fried-
They were little brine
fried.
shrimp.
No.
Yeah, there's goats out there in the west, but that's like one of those tags that you have to like put in for 25 years.
What
in
is
some
the
areas?
what is the most exotic animal in the continental 48 that gets hunted? I'm guessing it's not happening in Pennsylvania. What would you consider to be the most exotic animal?
Probably a ram, bighorn.
I would say ram.
A ram.
Absolutely. It's just the
Bighorn ram.
hardest to
The
hunt.
hardest.
I mean, you're literally climbing the side of a rocky mountain to get up there,
Yeah.
way the hell up there, and their vision's so good. It's insane.
Like we have in the mountains, we have cougars, right? We have
Yeah,
that
out
was another
west.
thing that's
we
actually
have mountain lions.
We
Oh, well,
had
we-
mountain lions in Pennsylvania.
Well, there's still people who claim they're here, but they're not.
yeah, they're not.
But
In some
people,
states, they
my
have them,
brother-in-law and
right?
his brother, listen,
Do those get hunted as
Well,
well?
that's what I was talking about California. How
Yeah.
they have an overwhelming amount of mountain lions, but now they can't hunt them.
yeah.
So, but they're still killing the same amount by the state.
Yeah, and attacking jogger.
So they're paying the state to hunt
And
them.
people on bicycles and joggers are getting mauled and killed.
Animals and farm, or I'm sorry, not farm.
People.
Well, people are getting mauled. Yes, dogs, cats, they're just disappearing.
Is it true when you cut open a fox, they stink really bad? Does fox have an unusual smell?
I've never cut open fox, to tell you the truth.
I've never
A red
cut open
fox?
a fox.
No,
I've never cut open a fox. I know a skunk does.
but that,
You don't hunt skunk, do you?
I don't think you have to hunt skunk to know that.
No, you don't have to hunt skunk.
but that goes back to our earlier conversation.
Possum.
I feel like I can't kill a fox. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah, like
I could.
see.
That's why I bought a fur taker's tag, just in case I see
I buy
one
it
while
every
I'm
year.
coyote hunting.
You know
I've
what
seen so many
stinks when you
foxes.
open it up is a snapping turtle.
Oh my
I
God!
just have some in my freezer, by the way.
Listen,
I
I'm
have to give you some.
Why do you
Are
have
you a
snapping turtle
are
in
you a
your
turtle guy?
freezer?
No, I'm not a turtle guy, but
I'm
I
a
do
turtle.
Have,
I'm a turtle guy.
and that's the another thing though. Like
Is
my
that
brain,
regulated? Turtles.
Yes.
Yes, it is
July
regulated,
1st.
but you can take them.
Are you serious?
Tastes
July
good.
1st is opening day. Yeah, it has to be after the egg. Something after they lay their eggs.
Yeah.
They want them to lay their eggs.
Yeah, they want
That'll
Yeah,
be.
my-
We have to do this year.
Do you
but
turtle?
Our friend who keeps inviting us up to
Rattlesnake
go
hunting.
rattlesnake
Yeah.
hunting.
Listen, my neighbor does
So-
that, and he's done quite well. You should see some of his
Oh,
stuff.
I
you're
mean-
gonna hate me, but I have a snake in the fridge too.
You have a snake in the fridge?
Yeah.
What? What did you? What do you
Like
got?
this is like boned out and
you got
everything.
a hippo in the fridge now?
Oh,
Yeah,
you guys eat snake meat?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've actually never had
Absolutely.
snake meat. I've had alligator, I've had turtle, I've had frogs.
What's
you know.
snake taste like if you had to compare it to something?
If it's cooked good,
Chicky.
yeah. Honestly,
course.
I swear, I hate saying that, but
Just
it's
like
true.
yeah, like a
It's true. I hate to say that.
like,
sometimes.
frogs,
Like
like
chicken.
frogs
Chicken.
are a fishy chicken.
Chicken.
You know,
Kinda, yeah.
You know, alligators are just a tough chicken.
Yeah,
It depends
chicken.
on what part of the
Turtles-
It's like alligator tail tastes different from like the backstrap.
Yeah.
Turtles
you know?
got like 7 kinds of meat. The snapping turtle, they say
Is there?
7 kinds of meat. There's dark meat. Then it actually has fillets in the shell if you bust the ribs out.
Yeah.
Yeah, my biggest was 38 pounds.
Good lord.
Wait,
It was
what?
a big one.
See,
why
I
why do
can't
you have
that.
turtle?
I was at a certain market.
Oh, you bought it?
Yeah, I know. I
Oh,
bought
okay.
it.
Listen, I'd buy
No,
it too.
I've
It's
eaten-
disgusting when
I've
you open
eaten
them up. Dude.
Turtle from friends that trapped them, but I can't trap. I can't do it. Like if you tell me that
Are
that
you
thing could be
scared?
100 years old,
Oh.
I'm like shit. I don't want to kill.
So my uncle had
something
these.
older than
My
me.
uncle has these.
Like, it's just
used
something
to have
in my
these two
brain.
ponds on it. One was a lake, one was a pond in South Carolina. And he would, when we were little kids, I mean, he wasn't a hunter, wasn't really a fisherman, but he did this one thing. He'd go out in his boat, and he put something on a hook, and then at the top he put these plastic milk jugs, like
Yeah.
at the top,
Oh, yeah.
and they would float.
Trout lines.
The trout lines.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
trout lines.
you know, and we would go there as a kid and go, why up in the upper pond there are all those plastic jugs? And he goes, are any of them moving around? I go, I don't know. We go out there and we wait, something to move around a little bit. They move around, and then he would go out there in his boat and he'd pull it up and freaking massive turtles.
Alligator snappers,
Freak.
probably.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we
Down
weren't allowed
south.
out. We were too small. He wouldn't let us go in the boat with him. To
Oh,
go out
yeah.
there, but he'd bring them back in and he would like stew them, not stew them, but like he'd boil them.
Yeah.
And then make soup or whatever, but it was freaky, man. Them turtles were nasty.
It's all
Listen.
fun
It
and
just-
games until
And
you
listen,
pull up an alligator in that one.
Once you're
Yeah.
when you butcher them, you remove her head and you skin them and deshell
He used
them.
to shoot him with a shotgun.
listen,
I know that's how he killed him. I
ours-
don't know where
listen,
he shot him at, but he shot him
We
with
used
That
to
head-
spearfish for him.
that head will bite you all day. That head won't be gone till the next day.
Like, what are you
If
talking
go-
about?
It'll snap
like a reflex. or
like
something.
off.
Just the
Yeah, but
nerves.
the whole body. There you got so many nerves in them.
Contracts, yeah.
When you're cutting it up, you got all your meat. You got to. You're fighting it. It's been 2 hours since you cut this arm off, and you finally got it skinned.
Oh,
and it's still
see,
going
man,
like
that is Hollywood
this.
shit right there,
Well,
man.
listen,
that is just
Now
wrong.
you have 1-inch chunks of meat in the bowl. You can see them. We can watch them quiver. You can see movement
Like a
in
snake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Snakes
it
the
is.
same way.
Same way. You have to bury the head when you cut the head off. So like when you cut the head off, you put something stick in that mouth,
It'll bite.
it'll bite it. It's crazy. I don't know.
Like a rattler.
That's a
Yeah.
whole nother
Like wait,
science.
no. That's some demonic shit right there. You're saying the head will bite you if it's cut off the body.
Yeah.
Same
so you
with the
put a snake,
turtle.
Same with the turtle. But like we bury, like I have killed very little snakes in my life, and that was when I was a lot
Pussy.
younger. Well, he actually got me turned on to snakes a little bit, and a little bit. I
But
still
he
hate
hasn't eaten
spiders.
one.
That's true.
I haven't
too,
eaten
yeah.
one. I
But you
care.
like-
I
but-
care
but
if you like
he
snakes.
cared. Like
But-
we were in Montana, and he was catching snakes. I'm like, dude, like we're fishing.
Wait,
He's like,
wait, stop.
Look at
Stop.
this.
You're
I'm like,
catching, how do you catch
he's
a
catching.
snake?
He just goes up and grabs it.
There was a
Really?
snake down there. It could have been a
Really?
rattler. It could have been a hognose. I picked it up, ended up being a hognose. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay.
My buddy's dog almost got bit by
No, we're going to explore this for a second. I just picked up a snake and didn't know if it was a rattler. So how exactly do you pick up a snake?
You
Grab by the head?
grab it. You know. Yeah.
There's several. Yeah.
There's different things you could do. I used the trout net I had, and I just kind of put the head down and then reached behind the head and picked it up. And that was it. And then I figured out it wasn't a rattler, and then I just kind of held it.
Actually, if you watch one of our videos, I think
You okay with that?
the outtake video.
What, snakes? I used to snake hunt all the time. Not rattler, but around here.
With a gun?
No, with my hands. See when you could catch them, put in a sack.
Yeah, he just used
I used to have them in tanks in my basement. They'd get loose, and my mother would freak out.
It's a reason I wasn't allowed to play with you as a kid at some point in time.
Yeah, we used to catch them in the army on the outside of the the flight line, because like they love the edge of the flight line. We go out and start catching them, put them in our buddies' boxes. They open them up in the morning, and there's a snake in there. They're like,
I don't know if I can hang around you guys
I
anymore.
never liked snakes until he kind of got me into them. I've killed very few snakes.
But you're okay with them. They don't bother you.
I love snakes.
Nah, he likes
you know,
them.
I'll go out and
They don't bug me either.
you tell me there's like a black snake, like down the road. I'll go down and catch it.
Well, we were at Flight 93 site, and I'm sitting there like, oh, this is great. And it's like 20th time there because I grew up from Flight 93, like a mile away from Flight 93.
Right.
He's over there in the bushes catching snakes and bringing them out. Like, hey, look at this. I'm like,
So you ever grabbed a poisonous snake by mistake?
No, I haven't. Actually.
I guess you haven't.
I have not caught a venomous snake, and I won't. I told him like
play with them.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well,
No.
to be honest, I've never
I've
actually
seen
seen one in
In the bush.
Yeah, I've
You
never
ever hear
actually
one?
seen one.
You
I've
never heard one?
I've never heard one either.
You hear a rattlesnake if you're trout fishing up in the mountains, you'll know it, man.
Oh, yeah.
up north in Titanesta,
sure.
I've seen rattlers.
Well, I was up in
Yeah.
Elk County,
Yeah.
Well, that's
Fishing
where
for,
we would be hunting.
Yeah.
Up in Tynesta.
fishing for native brookies.
Yeah.
And you'd be walking through them rocks, all that rhododendron, and you'd hear it.
Well, you hear that, then you see a
First
little
thing you do,
nest of
you
little
make that
guys.
expression. And you go,
Holy shit.
then you start looking down, and you get the hell out of there.
Hey, that was scared as shit out of me.
That was a good thing about rubber boots too. Like we never had rubber boots as kids, and then like
Flip flops.
yeah, basically like tennis shoes. Like I remember stepping on or it's not stepping on, but stepping right beside like a little rattler nest of little guys.
They'll
But,
get you
but
just
they're
as bad.
yeah, they're very bad.
But they're actually
like
worse
these-
than adults.
But like these days, I'm always
Because
wearing rubber boots.
what do you
Like, I
mean?
have no fear of them anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You wear rubber snake boots?
No, just like the rubber
Mucks.
muck boots.
Yeah.
Like I don't see them biting.
But
through
you're saying
that
a
at
baby
all.
rattler will go after you.
Well,
yeah.
baby
Well,
rattlers are actually more deadly to humans than an adult because they can't control the amount of venom that they inject.
They
So-
just inject it and go.
Yeah. An adult rattler knows sometimes an adult rattler will strike you as a warning, will
all
hit you
defensive.
and won't even eject any venom.
Mm-hmm.
But then like a little, I mean, you can't actually think that those things are going to know how to.
So they're reasoning? So these animals are reasoning.
It's saving.
Well,
It's
yeah,
saving its venom.
just
I think
an
it's
adult will save its venom.
instinctive.
yeah, it's essential to survival
Mm-hmm.
for them. This thing is huge. I'm gonna bite it and try to kill it.
That's
And that's
crazy.
the only thing. But beyond that, like the adults at least understand a little bit more. Like, hey, okay, I'm just gonna let you know, don't come any closer. I'm gonna hit you, but maybe not inject my venom because it's important to me anyway.
I wouldn't bank on that.
It's like,
They're
they
gonna
inject-
bite you.
I wouldn't
man.
bank on
inject-
that.
I'm
It's
banking
use
on
only
that
ammo.
I don't
theory.
want to be, I don't want to be bitten by an adult rattler regardless.
Right,
But I mean,
right.
had I had a choice between two,
Right.
I'd rather have an
Right,
adult.
right.
Hey, I know a guy that was. He spent like 3 months in the hospital.
Well,
he was
and-
Archie hunting.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, it
Really?
was bad.
Well, what happens is the
does.
venom coagulates the blood and creates blood clots.
Right.
And it's not the initial
you
bite. The
get
initial bite will
necrosis.
eventually start shutting down the
Yeah,
nervous
necrosis.
system.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you don't do it, you do something, you get the anti venom. It's still another 3 to 4 months where you're on
Blood thinners.
blood thinners to avoid the blood
Coumadin or
clots.
something.
Yep.
Dude, he had to go to therapy and everything, learn how to walk again.
Holy shit.
Wow.
His
really?
leg, listen,
He
his
must have
leg.
pissed that one off.
They got him, man.
Wow.
You should have
I
seen
mean,
his
laugh
leg.
at
They actually opened his leg up for the swelling.
Yeah. Wow.
The in Pennsylvania, is it primarily rattlers are our biggest concerns, or what other poisonous
You got
snakes?
timbers
do we have?
and rattlers.
Copperheads.
Yeah, I mean, copperheads.
Yeah.
Water snakes, right?
No, they're harmless.
Yeah.
Water
People
snakes are
mistake them
harmless.
for. You ever hear a guy say, "Oh, there's copperheads all down there"? They're water snakes.
Yeah.
There aren't that many copperheads.
Northern water.
Will they bite you? They're just not poisonous.
No, they're aggressive.
I've been bit by them.
Water snake will light you up.
Yeah. Water snake.
They're not poisonous.
I've got. I caught a couple before, and I'd be out trout fishing, and what they do is they come up, they'll be right next to me, and they'll put their head up, and because I enjoy snakes, I reached down and picked a couple up before, and they just reach back and grab me normally on the thumb or on the wrist, and they've got these razor sharp teeth to catch.
Yeah, they're sharp.
Right in here.
Yeah.
I swear. They
Yeah.
just love that spot. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, I think I got a scar here from one up in the yock, but I mean, generally their teeth are designed to grab a hold of fish and hold on to fish, and that's all it is. I've been bitten by black snakes, rat snakes. I've been bitten by garter snakes. The normal ones that you normally see, milk snakes.
Which are great for the
What about
environment.
anaconda?
Yeah, right. They're
I mean,
all
they're
anaconda?
amazing for the environment.
The anaconda.
You ever
No,
been by
I
anaconda?
haven't. But next time you go to the Amazon, blow dart
Listen,
season.
when I was in the Amazon,
Blow dart season.
Amazon in West Virginia.
Amazon, West Virginia.
I'll join you.
The West Virginia rattler.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Oh, shoot, I had a really good point, but now I'm having a brain fart. But they're very good for, I will not kill snakes anymore.
Yeah.
They are very good. And
Yeah.
I actually have snake decoys. Did you see them at my cabin?
Snake decoys.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't know this, but when
What are you
I bought
thinking?
I bought since the last time we were on the show, we both bought houses and got married.
Got married.
A lot of
bought
stuff's
houses. All kinds of shit going on.
We bought a lake house, and I walked up on the front porch, and I'm just kind of I'm looking at the house. I'm expecting the front porch and everything, and all of a sudden I look up. I'm like, oh my god! And there's this snake hanging down. I'm like, oh, that's fake. It was a rubber snake, but he had them.
Wait. I do remember,
you remember
that.
this?
Yes, I remember
They
that.
were
Yeah.
up in the rafters. This guy that I bought the house off of, he put snakes in the rafters all the way around the house. I'm like, what the hell? I thought there was something wrong with
Keep
them.
birds from nesting under the.
No birds nested there.
Right.
We haven't had a problem with mice and no spiders in the house. We don't have an insect in the house.
That's crazy.
I'd never thought of that. I've seen coyote decoys for geese to keep them out of the yard. I've seen a lot of different decoys, like owl decoys for crows, vice versa. But I'm like, oh my god! And I was like, you know what? I'll just keep them up there, see what happens. And we don't go there very often. We might go there once a week, and I haven't had a bug or mouse
crazy.
inside that house. And we don't. We very rarely go there. And I've had mice in every house I've ever been in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my god! I'm keeping them there.
Yep.
It was something. I don't know if he thought of it or maybe. But it's but they look terrible. You go in there, you're oh my god!
What is it, Halloween? What the hell are you
They're
doing here, man?
hanging down, blown in the wind. So they're only 3 feet above your head. So you look up, you're like, oh oh, that's not real. It's freaked people out. But I'm like, yeah, it works.
Do all of you pay attention to the types of hunting in terms of animals and the practices in other countries? I don't mean Canada or Mexico. I'm talking about in Europe
I do.
and Africa,
A little
Australia.
bit, a little bit.
So my question would be, are there any animals that you'd like to go hunt
In other countries.
in other or experience a certain kind of
Go
hunt in a
ahead,
different
Oh,
country?
absolutely.
Was it New Zealand?
New
Yeah,
Zealand.
for
Yeah,
red
you want to go to
stag.
New Zealand?
Red stag.
Red
New
stag
Zealand.
in
Oh,
New
Wait,
Zealand.
what is that?
So another type of elk.
Yeah,
Kinda.
you got to think they call them elk, but they're a giant deer, small elk.
Yeah, giant deer, small elk.
It's
Get these big crowns on the ends of their antlers to flare out.
Is there a
amazing.
liquor that's called that? Red stag?
yeah, red stag.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is a liquor.
Sorry.
They call it instead of the rut, they call it the roar
Yeah.
because they just go nuts.
Yeah.
They just scream.
Wait, really?
Yeah, oh my god, it's red stag are so cool. I mean, elk are so cool too. The way they rut and everything.
I think
They
a muskox
scream.
would be cool too.
Muskox, that's up in the Arctic.
What is that?
That's a big old ox that's
Yeah,
got a musk.
An ox.
Muskox.
Yeah.
You ever heard of a muskox? Them big hairy freaking things that standing in blizzards up in the Arctic?
Like a wildebeest.
Like way up north.
No, well, the wildebeest is Africa. You gotta go north.
Oh, actually, no. Think of a wildebeest.
Kind of a wildebeest with an 18-inch.
They rode them in Star Wars.
And,
you know,
kind
They have one
of.
horn coming out.
I swear they haven't been based off that. But like, think of a shag rug.
That's
Okay.
18
Remember
inches
shag-
thick
That's 18 and 20 inches thick. Lay that down
over a
and
wildebeest.
lay it down over a wildebeest, and then think of a helmet, like a football helmet, that has like a gluteal crease, like an ass crack in the front of its head that kind of comes out like this,
Horn, yeah.
and then put it in the North Pole. Well, northern Alaska.
Okay.
And
Well, yeah,
I mean,
way
that-
up north.
way the hell up north. I mean, they did.
And that's legal to hunt up there?
You
that's
gotta get a
draw
tag. That's a
yeah,
draw
like,
tag.
That's like one of the rare tags. Like if you want to do that, you're spending $20,000 to get up there.
Yeah, my uncle's a taxidermist. He just did like a couple of them recently.
Okay.
And to unload the hide, he sent the hide out to the tannery when they brought it back.
I'm sure that thing
he
was
needed
heavy.
a chain lift to get it out of
Wow.
the crate. The
They should-
hides, it's this thick.
Wow.
Here's the leather. Here's the fur.
You can't
Wow.
fit your fingers, and this is explained to me, and I have never done this, but you can't fit your fingers through and feel
And get to the skin.
You can't do it.
Yeah,
crazy.
it's
Kinda-
amazing.
They've done some tests with it, like they put like cows in like negative temperatures and like
It'd be
how their
great.
metabolism goes up.
Great set of underwear.
Musk weren't even affected.
Great set of underwear for the winter, brother.
Well, they do make socks. They do make like muskox, like
Wow.
wool, like merino wool,
Yeah.
and like just go up the ladder. You'll have muskox.
At the top.
Yeah, at the top. Like it's like polar bear. It's
Okay.
like polar bears
you
aren't
hunt
actually
polar bears?
white.
No.
Well, you can
You
in
can,
Canada.
but you can't. But you can't bring them here.
You can't bring them. You can't bring them home. But like in parts of Canada, I
You bring the
think
pelt home?
Greenland.
Can't bring none of it home.
That's like Africa hunts. You can't bring any of it home due to diseases and stuff coming back.
So if you had a gutted, you shot it, you gutted it, and then took it to a taxidermist or whatever they do up there, and you had just the pelts done, you couldn't ship the pelts home.
The polar bear, I'd
You
say
can
no.
ship the
I don't think you can bring a
taxidermy portion back. After
I don't
that, right?
think a polar bear.
No? I don't know.
I don't know. I think they slammed the door on that totally.
And that's another thing that kind of went to like Coca-Cola and polar bears and all these
No.
things, and they're dying. Like, yes, they are in certain spots of the earth, but Canada, they're a huntable species.
It's global warming, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you can't hunt buffalo everywhere because certain states don't have enough. You can't hunt they're like it's just
Right.
But
the
that
way
makes
it's
sense.
projected.
But
to
it
the
makes
normal,
sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
Why
But like the
hunt
way
a-
it's projected to like normal people, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
why would you kill a polar bear? Like, well, they're overpopulated one spot and they're underpopulated another.
Right.
You can
Right.
hunt them in the overpopulated, but that's another country. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
people don't understand. They just see a headline, like we've talked
Right.
about. Like they see a headline and they think the whole world's like that.
Right.
Or
Right.
they
Of
think
course.
America's like that. It's like,
All right.
no, like this isn't like, we can't hunt caribou in the lower 48 because we don't have enough.
Okay.
There's caribou that come down through Washington. It's a very small group of caribou, but they come down. We can't hunt them. But you go up north in Alaska and
Right.
northern Canada and western Canada, you can hunt the hell out of them.
Right.
But like people think, oh well, we can't hunt them here, so
Well, the view is so myopic because again, the world doesn't exist if it doesn't happen here, right?
Exactly.
Hear what else is going on in the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. So in Europe, like the hunting in Europe, like they have animals there that we don't have here.
So yes,
Yeah.
they do. But we have how can I explain this the easiest way? The people in the the United States, the people own the animals. We own how can I explain this the best way? So basically, we own the animals in the United States.
Okay.
In Europe, if you own the land, you own those animals.
Right.
So
So the king's deer, like back,
Yes.
you couldn't hunt the king's deer,
thank
they'd
you.
hang you.
And I was going to go back to that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Basically the way they do it, like the North American, I can't remember what it's called, the more North American, I'm having a brain fart, I just woke up a few hours ago, but basically how we regulate the system that we have is we do it by science.
Okay.
We have X amount of animals, we can put X amount of tags out, and we
Right.
can still sustain that amount of animals. Basically,
Right.
it's a renewable resource. In Europe, if you own the land,
They're
those
your
are
animals.
your animals.
Huh.
You can do whatever you want with them. You can kill them all. And there's a reason why a lot of animals went extinct in Europe. It's because humans hunted the hell out of them. And there's not many animals left in Europe.
Okay.
That's why you don't hear a lot of people going to England to hunt. You don't hear a lot of people going to Scotland to hunt.
Okay.
And it's weird there too. Like when you go to hunt, say in Scotland,
In the Highlands.
in the Highlands, yes.
Yes.
You have to have either a landowner or somebody who works with him to line your shot up, and then you put it down, and then you go in and pull the trigger. It's a weird way of hunting. It's not us, and they can do whatever they want
their
with
customs,
them, and they
yeah.
can sell them too.
Yeah.
And they're sold widely. But like in North America, we cannot sell anything.
That's interesting.
Like we got rid of that in the early 1900s.
It's to keep it from exploiting.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
you know.
we put so many species off the face of the earth due to market hunting.
Are there different types of fowl that are hunted that we don't have here? Like in just Europe?
No, they probably got the same birds, just a different wrapper on them. You know, different, same but different.
They have different types of teal. Mallard,
yeah, different ducks.
Mallard is a cool thing because we have. You think of a duck. When I was a kid, I thought of a duck as a greenhead, the mallard.
Right.
It's the most common duck, pretty much on Earth. Actually, on Earth, but in all like the civilized countries that I say, like you just see a mallard. It's normal, but they have different species of teal. Like I wanted to go down to Argentina. They have
Buffalo heads.
buffalo ducks, buffalo heads. But they do have different species, and that's what kind of like duck hunters want to go for. It's like, oh, I want to put this on the wall.
Okay.
You know, but they do have different species. But a lot of our ducks from Canada
Yeah.
and Alaska and Arctic go all the way down to Mexico and Central America, and then all the way back every year. So a lot of them are the same. But once you get to Europe and other places,
think they got
they're
mergansers?
definitely different. They do.
They got mergansers.
They do have mergansers.
Did you ever eat a merganser?
No. I tried. I couldn't.
Did you really?
I smelled it, cooked it, nope.
Tasted bad, right?
I hit my tongue. That's about it. But yeah, there's different species of ducks all over the world.
Where would you want to go? Where would you want to go on this earth to hunt something that you can't hunt here? Or fish.
Man.
Fish for some type of
If we're
fish
talking
that's not prevalent
fish,
here. Yeah, it's not prevalent here.
Because these guys are more of the hunters.
Right,
I'm more of the
right.
fishermen.
Right.
Panda
Man.
in China.
I wonder how they taste.
Yeah.
I'm sure they taste great.
I mean,
Are you
they
allowed
eat
to
it
shoot
bamboo.
Oh,
But see,
I
that,
didn't know.
That
How about koala
goes,
bear?
that goes back to the discussion.
God.
It's an animal.
They're cute.
Yeah,
Might taste good,
yeah.
but why do we hold it higher?
Wait,
Anybody-
koala bear tastes
Do,
good.
do you have panda in the freezer?
No, what I'm saying is that goes back to our original conversation is, why can I mentally, me personally, shoot one thing and never shoot another
What
thing?
about a penguin?
Same thing. I would never shoot a penguin.
It's
Same
probably
problem.
that's like a merganser.
It's probably
Yeah.
they eat fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably
It's
smell.
my
it.
favorite
Yeah.
hockey
But is
team.
Is there a animal or is there a fish in a different part of the country that you would want to go for a trip to have a chance to fish that?
Cutthroat.
Amazon.
What would you?
That'd be
What's
cool.
there?
The
Piranha.
The Periyama or something.
Arapaima.
Parapima's
Yeah.
a big
That's it.
fish.
What's that?
Oh,
So
Big
this is actually they had it on was it River Monsters? So this was and I had actually known about this fish before that he mentioned this, but supposedly there has been villagers who have died from this fish. You know, the fish would jump out of the water and knock people out. It's that big.
Like a muskie.
Yeah, kind of.
A little bigger.
It's a
12
yeah, a little
feet
bigger. Yes,
roughly
some-
for a big
yeah.
one. 12
and
feet long for a freshwater fish. That's
and they're
ginormous.
Yep, and they're generally low. You know, they don't need a lot of oxygen in their water, so they.
So
they
wait,
can,
you and I just going down. You and I in a boat, just going down the Amazon or the Nile or wherever we are. We're going down the river, and a fish literally could jump out of the water, take our head off,
Yep.
and then just go over our boat and go back into the water like it was no one's.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, that's supposed. You know,
I thought you were going to say peacock bass.
well,
They're
we
badass.
went to Florida.
We have
never
that in
did.
Florida.
You
Yeah.
had peacock bass in
No,
Florida?
we wanted to when we were down there. We
Yeah.
never did because they weren't far from the airport. And
Yeah.
I wanted to do it. We just didn't have enough time.
Yeah, the
But
peacock
those are
bass.
non-native.
Yeah,
to
the peacock
What's
bass.
a
America.
peacock bass?
It's a cichlid. It's a
What's that?
A
It's
cichlid.
from Central and South
Yeah,
America.
it's the same thing as the cichlids you get in your aquarium at Walmart or
Like
whatever.
a Jack Dempsey.
Yeah,
You,
but
you ever heard of him? You weren't a fish guy, were you? See, I had fish tanks.
Maybe a little bit.
I like fish.
but I mean, generally, it's a cool looking fish. But in the Amazon, they grow exceptionally large
and
compared to
they're native to that
yeah,
area.
and they're native.
I think that's
so,
another issue. Like it's not native to here, so it's
Right.
like
Okay.
yeah,
it's artificial to us here.
Yeah.
but
In my mind,
Freshwater
And then-
dolphin would have been
Are
nice.
there-
down there.
Can you shoot a dolphin? Are you kidding?
no, dear God, God,
Can you
talk
fish a
about
dolphin?
no.
Why?
I mean, you,
I think
Because
it's
a
too
flipper.
smart. Honestly, Gary, how many times have you ever heard of somebody
Why?
hooking a dolphin?
I've never heard of that, but I'm sure
Well,
it's
there's-
happened. Like somebody just throws out a fish, like
You're
trying
talking
to
a
catch an
bottlenose.
amberjack
You're
or
talking a
something.
bottlenose
Yeah, like when we
dolphin.
were in Ocean
Bottlenose.
City.
Because
we
the
were
other dolphins
fishing
are
and-
good. The mai is a dolphin. You know.
Dolphin fish, yeah.
Dolphin. There's dolphin fish
Dolphin
and there's
fish.
dolphin
Well,
dolphin.
can you hunt shark?
Yeah,
Certain
Yes.
types, yes. Mako shark is my favorite meat in the world.
yeah.
Mako shark is by far the best meat I've ever tasted on Earth.
Okay.
It's crazy. It's a shark. Yeah, I don't.
So when you deep sea fish, let's say off the coast of Florida, on the Gulf side, let's just say, I don't know if it matters if it's Atlantic or Gulf, but what are typically what are you looking for there
Well, we went down to Key West. It's
on
Gulf.
the on the bigger side? What are you
Grouper.
hoping to get?
Tuna.
Yeah.
Tuna's a
yeah,
big one.
tuna.
How big
you
can a
got
tuna
marlin.
get? Like how big can a tuna get?
Oh, good.
500-600
Yeah.
pounds.
The
They're
biggest, I
huge.
think, is the
I
black
didn't know
tuna.
that.
The
I
black,
didn't know
the
that.
black tuna can get up to, I think, almost 1,000 pounds, maybe.
I want to say, yeah.
A tuna.
Yeah.
A blackfin
You catch them
tuna.
Black
bonitas.
fin
Though.
is-
Ain't them
is-
bonitas like a
How
little
many
baby
cans of
tuna?
sun-kissed is that?
Yeah.
Bonitas.
Yeah,
and
Bonitas are.
snooks.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
man.
that's
No,
a lot.
yeah, bonitas are like a tiny tuna.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like we've-
they're-
Did you ever get on a grouper down there? The big
Oh yeah,
groupers?
yeah. Not a big, not
Not a
the.
Goliath.
Not the Goliath groupers.
I've been on small Goliaths, like 30, 40 pound Goliaths, where they bent the hook.
Okay.
That was when I was at Bahamas, but strawberry grouper as well. But like, did you ever see this grouper that are the size of a Volkswagen that they
Oh,
bring
come
up?
on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's,
looks
Yeah.
like a giant largemouth bass. And if
Yeah.
you don't believe me, YouTube that. That's like
yeah,
they're
Goliath
putting.
groupers. They're using like
Whole
whole
turkeys.
turkey, yeah,
whole
whole
turkey.
turkeys and
It's
Whole
amazing.
turkey. dude.
Yeah.
I gotta see a documentary with
No,
that.
they're
insane.
on there. You'll
That-
see them on
And the funny
television.
thing is, a lot of them are actually just sitting right in the harbors and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Just
People
laying
will
on
just
the
be in the
bottom.
harbors, and they'll have this big Penn International reel that they're sitting there, and they're like just bottom fishing, and all of a sudden this thing hits.
500
and they have like
pounds.
2 or 3 guys come behind them and hold it while this guy's like freaking pulling this Goliath grouper
Now,
up.
are they worth money?
No, you cannot
it's-
keep those.
yeah.
Now you can keep
Damn.
certain sizes of grouper. There's slot limits for them, and there's very strict season of the groupers. Because like those groupers that we're talking about, those are old, and there's very few of them.
Yeah.
Their population levels are
I'm
very low.
surprised neither one of you talked about. Neither one of you want to go shoot alligator? Go hunt alligator?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
I would love
dude,
to do
yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I'd
can
be
do
down
that
for
in the States here, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Florida,
Yeah.
Louisiana.
Can I
yeah.
python too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Well, that's
You can hunt
get
iguana
paid.
too.
The iguana.
You get
There's
paid to hunt iguana and python.
iguana, python.
Yeah. Same as you used to do
Invasive.
for snake
They're a
eggs.
nuisance. They're not supposed
Yeah.
to be there.
Iguana,
They're wiping out the Everglades.
We saw them
Oh
in
yeah.
Key West everywhere. Well, not Key West, like
alligator.
in the Key
Yeah,
Islands.
the guy trained his dog to attack iguanas.
Oh,
They're invasive.
Yeah.
They compete against the native animals.
What else is in the
They
Everglades?
taste like
There's
chicken.
snakes. There's
Oh,
snakes,
God.
iguanas, and there's alligators. What else
There's
are they pulling out
bass.
of there?
You got
Frogs,
moccasins.
ducks.
Water
Yeah.
moccasins.
Yeah, water moccasins are.
you got them big what's that? Nutria. Them big
Nutria
rats.
That's more
Nu-
Louisiana, yeah.
Is
They
that
were-
Louisiana?
They,
Wait.
They're like them big rat looking things.
They,
Like groundhog.
They were
is there
released
rat
on-
season down there?
The nutrias you can shoot all the time, I think.
yeah, those were released on purpose due to fur takers when fur prices were up. So, like when fur prices were up in like what the 60s and 70s, I
don't
want
know.
to say, maybe going into the 80s, like you can get like $12 a hide for like say, well, a beaver I guess was up to like $50 a hide. Like when you trap it, you skin it, and then you sell the pelt.
Yeah.
Is
'Cause
it-
there's a famous Seinfeld episode when Elaine had a hat that was supposed to be mink, and it ended up being nutria.
It was nutria.
That's funny.
Those were released on purpose to like basically help the fur trappers. So we wouldn't put out, like, beavers went almost extinct.
Okay.
We didn't want to make
Listen,
the same mistake again.
They're
But they
everywhere
went
now,
into
dude.
Maryland in his home state
Yeah.
and destroyed.
Yeah, they
Really?
Oh my God,
they
they were
put out.
terrible.
I mean, it was like
They spent $30-40 million trying to get rid of those things.
That's
What, the
crazy.
nutrients?
And when we were
In
there
Maryland?
last
Where,
time,
Maryland?
we met people
That's
trying
crazy.
to trap them,
Yeah.
and they've been basically done in that area. But
That is crazy.
I remember stopping and talking to people like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, "Oh, we're looking for nutria," because like there's a big bounty on them.
So you're
Yeah.
from Maryland?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you fish at Chesapeake?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
That's
Stripers?
where I cut my roots. Yeah.
Stripers?
Stripers,
Nice.
sea trout, flounder.
Nice.
All the good tasting fish.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, years ago, like I would say 90s through maybe the end of the 90s, when you would go out, and I don't even mean you would go out to a high-end restaurant. You go out to places like, the Ground Round or Applebee's. On the menu typically was swordfish.
Yes.
Swordfish was a thing. I mean,
Yeah.
you could get
I like it. You can still get it.
But it's not
Very
real
expensive.
prevalent. Yeah, it's not prevalent anymore. And I'm wondering what happened in society would change that.
Regulations.
Okay.
I mean, once the fish levels go down, you have to regulate.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we don't want to put them extinct, and that goes back in the conversation like we were talking about earlier. Like, there's a lot of science going into populations now. Like, we can't go out and kill 50 deer a year per person.
No.
It's the same thing with fish.
You can still buy swordfish, though. It's
Yeah,
expensive.
you can still buy
Yeah.
it. The
I
price has gone
grilled
way
some
up.
last summer. I like.
yeah, the commercial fishing on sword fishing has gone down significantly.
It's basically sport fish.
Yeah,
Right.
that's pretty much what it is now. And in fact, I don't know, do they do it commercially anymore? Or, I'd imagine they have to do a little
it's
bit,
like
but
$18 a pound.
because
It's
that's
expensive.
you remember
Surface
the,
steak, yeah.
you remember the
It's a
movie
good
The
fish
Perfect
steak.
Storm?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's
They were
that-
doing trot lines for that.
They were doing for swordfish, but I don't know if they do that anymore.
Honestly, I don't know, but like salmon, same way.
Yeah.
Salmon numbers in like the lower 48 in the Northwest have gone way down. I mean, we put in dams, kept them from flowing, like going up,
Can't breed.
can't breed, can't. It's just like we destroyed the population. So like populations went down here. So the regulations, you can only keep. The seasons were closed when I was up there in Alaska,
Right.
even though it was the populations in Alaska were doing okay. But being that some of them would come from the like Pacific Northwest
Yeah.
up to Alaska,
Yeah.
they just like, you know what, just to be safe, we're going to close the season. And when I was up there last time, the season was completely closed. Now they had certain days that was open for, they call it snagging, but those were, what do they call it when they put fish in the river? God.
Put steak.
Stalking.
Stocking. They were stocked.
Okay.
So they knew like what kind of breed. Or
So they could snag up her, huh?
only stocked fish, yeah.
Wow.
The ones that can't breed.
'Cause they'll get
they're-
you for
It's just a
snag.
food source.
You
How
go
the heck?
for
How the heck
America-
do you figure out
Do you go
which is
steelhead?
stocked and not?
So they would
stocked?
stock them in certain creeks.
Yeah.
And you know how salmon come back to the same creek. So they know that creek was just stock fish.
Got it.
So like Seward and Homer, when we were there, they stock certain creeks. So certain creeks, like it's completely separate. Like if you're born in that creek, you're coming back to that creek. And they know exactly what fish are coming back, which is kind of cool, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain snagging regulations. Like here, you hear snagging, you're like,
Oh,
that
well,
son of a...
well,
Yeah.
you could get in trouble. You're
Yeah,
allowed.
you're not allowed
Steelhead, if you go up to Erie.
Oh yeah, you'll be fine. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. But like up there in certain creeks, very few of them you can snag. But when we were up there, like it's just the populations and it's everything's based off the population. Like sockeye salmon that I went up there and fished for, $48 per fillet.
Wow.
Now that's going way up.
Right.
But the populations go down, price goes up.
Right.
Less they can harvest commercially, less they can harvest like me and you or you.
Right.
Go up there. The regulations change every day there. They pay such close attention to it. They actually have a counter of fish coming into the rivers.
That's crazy.
It's insane.
The amount
It's
of
absolutely
technology that's
yeah.
going on.
I mean,
Right.
just to count fish, and like the regulations when we were up there, it was pretty much 3 or 4 per day. But it
Wow.
went to 5 and even 7 once or twice that year.
Right.
It just like depends how much fish come in, how much fish we can harvest. Like if 10,000 fish come in, 10,000 fish aren't being,
Yeah.
they're not breeding because there's just not enough habitat.
Right.
So it's like me and you or you can go and harvest them, and then I can't sell them, but commercial fishermen can.
Got it.
But we were talking about the swordfish. The harvest limit from here to here, and then now it's
No, it's $18,
the price
$19 a
went
pound.
straight
Yeah.
up. I mean, I remember being a
And
kid.
they don't have it all the time.
Yeah, they don't have it all the time.
You have to
It's
go to
seasonal.
market. You got to go to market district. You
Yeah.
got to go to something that has specialty.
Is muskie very prevalent, like in places like Wisconsin? And,
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Even here.
PA's got it coming
Oh
around.
yeah, we got muskie here. We caught muskie on bass tournament.
I think that the
How
what
big
the
did it get?
record's still from Conneaut
Is it really?
from 1936 or something.
Oh shit.
Yeah, 54 pounds or
Do
something.
they have a
56
point on the
pounds.
front, muskies? Is there a...
No, yeah, I
it's a
think you're
coloration on the
yeah.
sides.
Yeah, I got my personal best this year.
Yeah, you
just
got
out
a
of
big one.
Yeah,
Did you?
it was probably
Where?
close to I don't know, 42 inch. I want to
Wow.
say 40 inch.
That's a good one.
You know,
Decent,
and I was just I was bass fishing in the Yakagani, and I hit this thing, and I'm like, oh my god! I called to my buddy. I was like, dude, I think I have the biggest smallmouth in the world. and this thing come up. I was like, nope, that's not a smallmouth, and it's just like
Big
this thing's
ass
like
muskie.
this, you know. I'm like, and surprisingly, I ended up landing it, but
Is that the
yeah.
biggest surprise you ever pulled off of a hook? I mean, you ever cast out for something and you're like lulled to sleep for a moment?
probably
Got a shark.
Yeah.
Big old sharks, plural,
yeah.
in Florida.
Florida, yeah, that was.
Caught an eel in the river.
His wife caught one of the
eel?
biggest.
She
When I was a kid.
she did catch the
yeah,
biggest.
eels.
I caught a
Eel?
freshwater eel in the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those migrate. Those are anadromous.
Yeah,
Attachments?
they come back. The ones here come all the way from Sawgrass Sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're
Wow.
They swim up the Mississippi.
Are they
and
electric
all
eels?
the way-
They hurt
no,
you?
they're freshwater eels.
Freshwater eels.
I won.
Tastes very
hey,
good too.
I won pirate tickets. I caught the fishing tournament on Neville Island. We were little kids
Okay.
on the old lock wall where
With an eel.
where the Poison Park, where
Yeah.
the butt, yeah, right there. I caught an eel. Yeah, it was cool.
You know, the one thing I caught was a smallmouth, but it had a lamprey on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Those things are
That's
nasty.
So we were in the
Suck.
river
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
Allegheny.
yeah. I was freaking out. I was
back
like,
up, back up.
It's like a
Novice
vampire.
over here.
It's like
Yeah.
a vampire.
yeah, it's just a
Yeah.
vampire. It's
It
a vampire
attaches
fish.
itself to the other
So
fish and lives off them.
it's a parasitic fish that basically just feeds off of the hosts, off of blood and stuff like that. But
That's why no one
they're
cares about
actually
fish.
protected though, so that's
In
the
certain
funny
parts,
thing.
certain lampreys are protected.
So I don't know.
Other lampreys are invasive. There's different types.
In the
of them.
Allegheny, I'm not sure. I
don't
know in
the
Erie
Allegheny-
they
in
are.
Erie, yeah, Erie. It's just a whole different story. But yeah, you're saying like I don't know if that thing was protected because we were fishing on the Allegheny, and he pulls out this fish. He starts screaming. It was the first fish we caught in how long?
Yeah, it was a long
It was like
time.
a day.
Yeah.
It
We
was,
went for
it was
due
a
date.
lamprey.
Yeah,
well, it was
he
a
caught
smallmouth.
Smallie.
It was a
Oh,
hell
with
of
a
a
lamprey on
smallmouth.
it. Okay.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
it was like 18, 19 inch smallmouth, and I pulled
Wow.
this thing up, and then this little
Little
thing
football.
is just like wiggling. It was about this long. It was attached to it. I'm like, what the hell? I was like, oh wait,
Think of a
this is a lamp.
blood-sucking worm.
Yeah.
Was
yeah.
it a leech?
giant blood-sucking
It
worm.
wasn't a
Like,
leech.
No, think of
No,
a snake.
a blood sucking eel. Like
Yeah,
a-
yeah, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a
eel-
leech. It was a,
No,
it was
no,
a
no,
lamprey.
this
It
thing
was
was
like
huge,
this
yeah.
big.
Oh,
and that
yeah, that's
thick
a
around,
lamprey,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah, nasty.
You
Nasty
don't want to
little
get one
creatures.
of them on the old, you know what I mean?
Nasty little things. But that was an unusual catch for me. And then
Yeah, that is
and
unusual.
then,
Then we found a deer in the water.
oh yeah, and then this guy you talking about deer hunters. So like I wasn't really into deer hunting at this time, and we were just starting the whole Thirsty Outdoorsman thing, and we're floating down the river and catching a few smallmouth here and there, and I pointed out, I was like, oh look, Tyler, there's a dead deer. He's like, he looks at it, he's like, oh, he goes over, he paddles over to the deer, he gets out. And he like feels the deer. He's like, "Oh, this deer is still rigor mortis." He's like,
Yeah.
"Give me your knife." Or he takes out his knife and starts cutting a backstrap out of a
This
deer.
deer was
And
in the middle of the river.
and I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, this is good. It's still good."
So the first day of archery happened
like a
the
damn
night before.
Indian.
Yeah, it's like the first day of archery happened the night before. We paddle up, and we paddle up, and there's a dead deer in the middle of the river, like literally in the middle of the river, because deer go to water when they're hurt or injured or whatever. And I'm like, oh, this thing, and you can see like an arrow came straight down past her ribs, and it was just a bad shot. And she must have died throughout the night. I was like, well, this is good meat.
Yeah, and then we,
Hey,
you
good
know,
move.
I mean, like,
you had a huge like. You had all these ingredients because
I had salt.
you know you love to make like mountain pies and stuff when
Yeah.
we were camping out
this
on
is
one
like
of the
a
islands.
2 or 3 day camping,
Okay.
floating trip down the river. So
Okay.
we'd fish all day, camp out, go back out in the river, and it was like 30 degrees the night before.
Yeah,
So it was freezing.
And then he just pulls out this like little bottle of iodized salt and just starts salting the meat. I'm like, he's like, you want one? You want a piece? I'm like,
Some of this dead animal I found in the river.
I'll just go ahead. I'll keep eating my beef jerky. You just
Have any of you guys?
It was probably delicious.
And I want the truth. Have
Oh,
any,
it was-
any
it
of
was-
you
it was.
guys, truthfully, ever harvested roadkill?
Yes,
No.
absolutely.
I mean,
No, but my buddies do. I don't.
People have to think about
Not
it for a
just
second.
once, but several
No.
times.
you did.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, the roadkill is kind of tough.
You
in
smell
the
it,
fact-
you
You
touch
don't
it,
say.
and you
You-
smell it, and you make a decision.
Yes, you have to make the decision on when it's been hit. So if you see it on the side of the road,
And if you hit it yourself, you're in.
oh yeah, I mean, you're good. You're
Just throw it
golden.
in the back.
But like the two problems is picking up roadkill is, well, 3 actually, is one, you have to get a tag from the game commission, which
If you do it legally.
I know some people. Yeah, if you do, I try to do it.
Last
legally.
time I called you, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it was right in front of my house. It was literally on my
I
front
literally
porch.
called you. I was like, "Hey man, what are you up to?" And I hear just huffing and puffing. Oh, I'm just cutting the backstrap out of this deer. I'm like, it's not even deer season. You got hit by a car. It's in front of my house.
It was in my front yard, but so when it was hit,
Might
if it was
explain
fresh,
a lot about him.
yeah, when it was hit, if it's fresh, it has to be fresh, and then
Like, define fresh.
within a few hours, I'd say.
No flies.
You,
Yeah,
you
no
said
flies, no
rigor
nothing.
mortis, right? As
Rigor
long as-
mortis, yeah. So rigor mortis
fly.
is a good indication
Yeah.
No
on how
flies.
cold it is out too. So like if it's decently cold below 40, you have rigor mortis, it should be okay.
Okay.
But then you can smell it and everything else. But the problem with roadkill, my wife's gonna kill me.
Problem with roadkill.
Sorry, Trace.
She's never eaten deer from
It's
you
like,
again.
say you hit a deer in the ass, which a lot of times happens. All that meat is gonna be bruised.
It's trash.
So you have to like open that deer up, skin it, and then look at the meat and see which parts.
You want to
That's the hardest part. Is like you look at a hind quarter, it might be trashed. Like that car hit it.
So you wrap it up and give it to your buddy.
True too.
jerky.
Yeah, jerky. Yeah, but like I've got some deer that were hitting the head, and you can't even tell. Like it was like a perfect deer sitting on the side of the road, cold out, everything's fine. I'm like opening up, like oh my gosh, like I got a whole deer. Now that's like a lot of meat that you have to think that you're not paying for. It's amazing. I'm sure you guys like deer meat.
I do.
Yeah, I mean I like deer meat better than
Right.
beef, to tell you the
Right.
truth.
Right.
But like it's I don't want to waste it. Now granted it's not going to waste. Other animals are gonna eat it. Bugs, everything. It's nature's gonna take over, but I'd rather have it in my freezer.
Well, you're kind of part of nature. You know what I mean?
True.
We got
Yeah.
first dibs.
But like me cutting up a deer in the middle of the river in a not a raging river, but it was pretty hard to
Yeah.
like it was a difficult task to cut up a deer in the middle of the river.
Kind of like a scene from The Revenant.
I have to share. I'm a non-hunter, so think about how horrifying this was. I was working for a company out in Robinson Township, right out of high school, and I'm meeting all these people that are just much different than me. And there's a family that was local, and he was a hunter, and they used to talk about eating like things like possum and just weird things. So he told me that, on the way here from his house in Robinson, he saw a dead possum on the road. And he was late for work because he actually scraped the possum up, took it back so his mother and father could cook that thing into possum stew. And for the life of me, to this day, that just rings in my head like, is that something people do, or is that a quirky thing that's very odd? Like,
I mean,
it
You know,
happens.
like-
I don't do it, but it happens.
Ramen noodle is like 30 cents a pack. Like you can find something else to eat.
what does
you know?
possum taste like?
Never had
No.
Chicken. I've had groundhog.
Oh.
Groundhog, yeah, young groundhogs.
They have to be young, and you
Yeah.
parboil them. Then you,
What about rat?
only if I had to, but no.
I had coyote once.
Do people do it?
Yeah, over in other cultures.
Okay.
And that's the thing, though,
Or-
too, here is carp was introduced to the United States.
Yeah,
Like, we think of carp as junk fish here.
Right.
Like, I think everybody can agree with that, right?
right.
Carp was introduced here as a food source.
Okay.
Because, like, we were depleting the Great Lakes. Like, we
Right. So
So where
harvested
did carp come from? What country?
Europe. Somewhere in
Europe.
Europe. I don't know.
I'm starting in Asia, maybe. They got
mean,
the
like-
koi over there. I don't,
Brown trout came from Germany, right?
Yeah.
So, like this was introduced as a food source. Yes, some people still eat it. I'll try carp cakes or I'll try to make them, but
you can buy it.
yeah, and it's the other thing too. You can buy it, but we turn our nose at it here. In Europe, it's a
We didn't
normal
in the
staple.
70s.
It's
The
like us
delicacy.
eating whatever.
Ours
cod.
had special seasoning.
Yeah, that's the other thing. But like, it's just like I feel like Americans turn their nose up to certain things. We're very bland eaters.
Yeah.
Like, we want beef's kind of bland, chicken super bland. I mean, my God, how many chickens do we slaughter a year?
A
But
lot.
like, people like eat deer, like, oh, that's gamey. Like, no, it's tasteful. Like, it's actually how an animal's supposed to taste, not
Right.
grown from a calf.
And chemicals. Yeah.
Yeah, and then shot up full of steroids and
Well,
antibiotics.
if you buy a
corn.
beefer off a farm, a
Or heifer,
local
yeah.
farmer, and butcher it yourself, way better than what you
Well,
buy.
yeah, because it has more.
The color's
taste.
different.
But like what you buy in a supermarket is not the same thing.
No, it's like mass produced.
It's bland. It's this. It's that. And then like people see carp, like, yeah, it tastes like fish. Like
I think if
it tastes like it's supposed to taste.
they see it living in the sewage runoff, and they're like, you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
like,
well,
I
if
mean,
he can
part of
live
it
through
too,
that, then I
yeah.
don't need to be eating that. You know,
but
that's.
like we have them in lakes. We have them in
Yeah.
the rivers.
Ohio
Oh,
River.
in fact, they're introduced to keep a lake and pond
Clean,
clean and stuff
exactly.
like that. So,
yeah, but
it's just
they'll
like we
wipe
turn
out.
our
They're not
nose.
good though for bass pond.
Well,
if you do too much of it, yeah.
Well, they'll
Big
take
head-
over,
Like
man.
there's 3 different types of carp.
grass carp,
Grass
Yeah,
carp,
and
Asian
then
carp.
Asian carp.
Which Asian carp are
Okay,
also.
what happened to the snakefish? That was
Snakehead.
a scare a couple years ago. but-
Still in Maryland, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
a
in New
horror.
Jersey
What's
now.
the story with that?
Yeah,
Snakeheads.
yeah,
Snakeheads.
snakeheads.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
they're-
was part of River Monster had a series on there.
which
years ago.
was
I'm
kind of
sure
beyond me.
Yeah,
you know.
he probably told it killed several people. Like, these things
Yeah, I
they're
know.
not killing people.
like-
I mean,
That's
you
a lot.
can't,
It just
you can't
looks
tell
ugly.
a fish like this big is going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
How much drama is added to that show?
Oh my
So
God.
much.
Dude, he does a
don't
fine.
even
He does
show.
a fine job there,
He does.
eating
Well, it's
himself.
funny because he speaks every language he's ever been to. It's like he's in like Ethiopia speaking. Like, oh, well, he said
He's
this.
got a
I'm
good.
like,
He's got a
you
good
don't
gig.
know what he's saying. Like, don't tell me you understand. This
He's
language.
down there fishing with Starving Marvin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like this $2,000 reel. I'm like, come on, like that's as much as these people houses. But snakeheads, he can probably speak more of this because this is
So,
his home
is the snakehead the main culprit of fish right now in the freshwater that have teeth?
No, there's just
No.
generally a lot, you know, and generally the snakeheads, if, you know, people who know this, there's 2 different types of species. There's one that's native and then one it's not. Snakehead is introduced from Thailand or over from Asia, but we have something here called the bowfin.
Okay.
Yes.
That is actually, it looks a lot like a snakehead. It's nothing like, well, it's not a snakehead.
Got him in Coney.
But generally they look exactly the same.
cool.
You know, there's different markings and stuff like that. So people will call up the game commission. Oh, I caught a snakehead. No, that's a bone. That's a
Bowfin.
bowfin.
Bowfin,
So
which is native.
which is native and is all right. But the problem with snakeheads is that when you introduce them into a new area, you know, you throw out the balance of the ecosystem, which they start eating. They eat the fry. From largemouth, you know, all the
Everything.
way down to the
Everything.
bluegills, which is the largemouth food and stuff like that.
Yeah, but 10 years ago, there was River Monsters proliferated the idea that this is this terrible thing that was happening. And
It is.
They were
It is.
illegally sourced here and
Yeah,
and
purposefully
I think-
injected into the ecosystem. and-
Yes, and I think they tracked it back to
Yeah.
one person.
Oh,
One
really?
person,
Yeah,
some guy
one
from
person.
on
Thailand,
purpose.
one guy from Thailand came
terrorism.
over and introduced the northern
Kinda.
snakehead.
Right.
Ecology,
Yeah.
ecoterrorism.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I guess so. But I
David
don't know what
Sardis.
happened to him though. Did he get arrested?
I
or
don't
anything?
know what happened to him, but at the same
But
time,
it takes
like,
more than one
his
fish
intentions
to
were
do that, right?
his intentions were good.
You need
It's
a
like, hey, this
second
is-
one to breed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
They're
would think.
they're amazing
Yeah.
tasting. It's a food source. It's good, but what it did to the ecology of the rivers and the ecosystem just destroyed all the native fish.
Yeah.
It's
Got
just
it.
in the process of destroying. Like they said, catfish. Oh, what is a big catfish down there? Not
Flatheads, blueheads, or blue catfish. Blue
One
catfish
of
would
the
be.
catfish are just being destroyed by this thing because like this snakehead out eats everything. So
Alright.
therefore, they're competing, and they can't outcompete something that's evolved to outcompete everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem with the snakeheads is that they can be without water for 24 hours. They can walk on land. A
That's
lot of
the
people
They
thing
can
they were
breathe
saying.
air.
They
Yeah,
could like
so-
walk on. They were like crawling around the highway or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So that's generally, you can't really control something like that. So,
To people, will they hurt people?
No.
they've been known to attack. Like if you're sitting at a dock and you got your feet in the water and you get your foot attacked. I've heard that come from
And I
muskies and
think
northern pikes.
with fry,
Yeah.
they're protecting their young.
yeah,
That's the only time that's
But
ever going to happen.
you
during
put-
small time of the year.
you put that type of drama in the hands of the guy with the river monsters, he's gonna blow it out of proportion. Oh, I mean, just they'll throw some dramatic music. Oh, that person lost a leg because it got infected after he
Get
got
your
attacked.
ratings, man.
Well, they won't tell you you got
Ratings.
infected. It just tells you they lost a leg.
Yeah, they lost the leg, and I mean, you got to watch out for these things. They're just like, you ever seen Piranha? The movie
well,
Piranha.
well,
Just like that.
is it piranha or freshwater fish?
Yes.
Yes.
And what's the separate the folklore from the reality when it comes to piranha?
Piranhas will mess you up, man.
They really, truly will
It's
mess
not
you up.
like they're not gonna like come out of the toilet and attack you when you're on it. But I
God.
mean, yeah, but they're if you're bleeding,
When you fall into school, you're getting eaten.
yeah, they're gonna tear you up a little bit.
Yeah,
That's what they do.
You better get the hell out of
They
here.
take a cow leg in the Amazon. They'll put it down in the thing and in the water for 5 minutes. You bring it up, it's nothing but bones.
Yeah, it's not
so.
even 5 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's quick.
They're
Yeah.
worse in schools than they are individually.
Yes,
right?
yes, that's where they do their damages in
Yeah.
schools. One starts attacking, then another and then they just you just see bubbles.
Yeah.
Are
That's
there
not
other fish species like the piranha that just aren't as popular?
way scarier.
They do the same thing?
There is one species in the Amazon. I can't think of the name of it, but it's about.
Pirate fish, or that has the fangs.
Yeah.
Oh well, you're talking about probably the tiger fish.
You're talking about
The vampire
tiger fish
fish.
in,
No,
in
I'm
the
talking-
Congo.
I'm
Now we're in the
talking-
Congo.
I'm talking
Oh, yeah.
about the small little fish about this big has thorns on it. And what
Oh, that
happens?
swims up your urethra.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
my
you
God,
have to
it's a
watch out for
nightmare.
He's
that.
one
Is
small.
the one thing that
Listen.
I am so afraid. See, they say do not pee in the water because
it'll swim up.
the urine will attract them and they'll swim up. And what happens? They swim up. They extend their spines.
And
And then
Hey,
normally it's
come
surgery
on,
to
Willis.
get
How
them
we
out.
get on this subject?
But,
Oh,
I mean, so yeah, if we're talking about one thing, like that's everybody's fear. Like the number
Yeah.
one fear in the world is parasites. As far as the animal kingdom.
I heard that
goes.
described on one of the Rock's early movies. He was in some jungle scenario.
Oh, yeah.
Said he didn't want to jump in
They'll,
there.
they'll swim up your pinto.
Yeah,
But
me
pinto,
too.
not this boy's pinto.
He pulls up his pants.
pain too.
I can't remember what that movie was called.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But I'm more afraid of ticks than I am of bears.
Oh, they're everywhere.
Deer
yeah.
ticks.
Deer
They're
ticks.
bad.
Yeah.
And that's Lyme disease,
I
right?
just pulled
Yeah.
off 2 or 3 off my dog just recently. It's like just got into March.
Is that
It's
because the deers are overrunning?
No,
No.
no. Most of the ticks
Warm
you see
weather.
are wood ticks anyway.
because they're
Yeah.
You got the bigger ticks. The deer
they're,
ticks
they're
are
a
real
bioweapon
little.
that was released by the government. So.
Yeah.
The small ones.
Yeah.
That's where
Okay.
you need to be
I was
concerned.
So in
The
our
very, very
if
small
we
ones.
don't kill the possums, is it possums?
Possums
Don't-
eat
yeah,
ticks.
don't kill
We
possums.
don't- I
the
don't
white,
kill
they're the
possums.
ugly
Opossums.
white looking things that are.
Yeah,
we have them in my
the-
backyard. I can see them all the
It's
time.
our only marsupial.
Keep them around.
It's
'Cause I
North
tell you what,
America.
if I could stalk them,
I used to
would.
have one as a pet.
North
so-
America's only
Yeah.
marsupial.
And albino, or no?
Oh no, that was a raccoon
That was a
that I used to
raccoon.
feed. But I used to actually have a possum as a pet. My dad found it at the place he worked in. It was small, and then eventually we kind of raised it up.
Damn. Bug
And he would literally just come up, like I would sit down for breakfast each morning before school, and he'd run up on my shoulder and sit there, and I'd have to feed him some cereal and stuff. Like he's
Some
cute.
ticks.
Yeah, but eventually we released him back out in the wild when he got bigger, and yeah, they're really good.
The,
They-
Oak-
they-
the Oakland
they're-
A's have them in their stadium, and like during the middle of the game, like you can see them running around the outfield, and they have to stop the game, but they don't. They let the possums live in the stadium.
Who's
the
that?
stadium's so old, Oakland.
Oh,
no
nice.
It's
kidding.
the- yeah,
I didn't know
it's
that.
like, and half the team hates them, half the team is like, it's Oakland,
Just-
California.
yeah.
They're a little liberal out there, but they'll, they're like, don't harm them. But they'll stop the game and watch the possums run, and then they scurry along the outfield, and then they go back inside.
No.
Just think of someone run out there with a bat. And
Oh, the announcers hate them. Like they get freaked out when
Do
they
they?
see them.
What
The
is it? They
announcers.
kill 43 ticks a day or something like that.
They
Oh, I
eat a
didn't know
lot.
that. Wow.
They because ticks get on them and they're very clean
They eat
animals.
ticks.
They eat
Yeah, they're
ticks.
clean.
They clean
They're
themselves
just ugly.
constantly.
What about like anteaters and shit? I mean,
There ain't no anteaters around here.
Texas.
Those ain't anteaters, it's armadillos.
Armadillos.
Yeah,
is there
you're
armadillo?
right.
I mean, in Texas, can you hunt those?
Yeah, they're dirt. They got
I don't
diseases.
think
You
you
get
want it.
salmonella and shit.
Yeah, I don't think
I
you
don't
want
know.
I'm sure somebody eats them, but I don't know.
Javelina. You can hunt javelina. You know what those are?
The little
No.
mini miniature pig.
What a
Miniature-
hyena?
No hyenas.
No, hyenas here. That's Africa. They came from coyotes, though.
There's no hyenas in Texas?
No.
I mean, there's a lot of introduced species. And oh, by the way, this freeze that we just had in Texas.
Killed a bunch of
Oh
what?
my gosh, that killed all those exotic animals. There's more tigers in Texas. I forget what type of tiger it is than there is in the world, which is crazy. But they had just like fields of dead animals because
Wow. That's
Hopefully
crazy.
killed out of some of the
Yeah.
hogs, but
yeah, I doubt it.
So hogs are nasty.
Oh, my God,
Is it
they're terrible.
Wild boar, is that a thing?
great
It
to
is.
great to
It's
eat. But
starting
man, are
to
they?
in PA.
Also,
you hunt them?
also
In PA you
non-native.
can.
Oh
Wait.
no, there is.
That's feral though,
So let's-
right?
They're feral.
there's-
I'm talking
yeah.
wild
so
pigs.
Let's talk about like Suscrafa is hogs, wild hogs, razorbacks.
They're saying there's wild hogs here in PA.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard about that since
From
high school.
Bedford County.
Bedford County, yeah, because I neighbor Bedford County and hunt there, or used to hunt there.
Did you ever see a hog shot in
No,
Bedford County?
I've never seen it, but theirs are also non-native. They're from
Okay.
Eurasia.
Okay.
Same thing. They're brought over. They just went wild, but the non-native or the ground nesting birds, and they root. So they root with their tusks. They just kill everything. And you talk about a terrible species on the face of this earth for North America, not for Eurasia, is hogs.
Yeah.
And
They're
Are
pretty
they the most
dangerous
destructive?
too.
you Google hog and destruction, and you'll go down a rabbit hole you'll never get out of.
Really?
Oh my God, the money spent on getting rid of hogs and the money spent of people hunting hogs is
That's-
insane.
that's
Can't we
somewhat
kill
we
that?
do.
That's something we can kill and eat, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
yeah. Hogs, a wild hog is great.
Yeah.
Bacon,
And
man.
they breed like rabbits. We can't get rid of them.
You can
There's
hunt- you
no
can-
way to get rid of them.
You can hunt out of out of a
Helicopters,
helicopter and what
That's
ARs.
that's
I mean, I don't know if
crazy.
you can use.
Everything.
You
There's
know,
no holds bar with hogs.
yeah.
There's hog companies that have built things that have trapped hogs. Like they built these giant, basically like pens that
Tiger traps.
they put up in trees and they let the
Oh.
hogs come in
It drops.
and they drop and they just catch like a bunch of hogs at once. But they get smart to it, just like anything else. They get smart.
adapt.
They adapt, they overcome, and they just keep on going, and we cannot get rid of them. And you talk about hurting ground nesting birds and endangered species and even threatened species, they're the worst threat to that.
Wow.
And you would never know because it's
Wow.
not. Like Texas has a giant industry on hunting hogs,
That's
and they can't get
nuts.
rid of them. They can hunt them as much as they
I
want.
heard they do it by helicopter. Joe Rogan had a show on where he was
Yeah.
talking about someone was on there just saying they hunt them by helicopter, which is just nuts.
What
to
did they
me.
kill? 300 and some a day on one ranch. Now, granted, those ranches down Texas.
10,000 acres.
Oh my God! Like they're huge. Like they're the
Right.
size of counties.
Right.
But like you can't get rid of them. Like there's no process in getting rid of them, and you can't poison them because then you're poisoning
Yeah.
other native animals. It's a giant problem that you'd never hear publicized, but we eat them. So
Yeah.
it's like hog. Or
What would
pig.
you say in terms of species to hunt that is the most dangerous to the hunter during the hunt, like the most challenging
Moose
and
is one.
lethal?
Hogs are actually very
Yeah,
dangerous.
hogs are very
Believe
dangerous.
it or not, I
Yeah.
mean, they actually have been known to eat people.
Yeah, well,
lot of people don't.
didn't some movies? Wasn't there some movies where they were trying to give her a body and they would throw the body in the
It
hog
was,
Yeah.
it was a mob movie, I think.
Yeah,
He said that if
yeah.
you throw a body in there.
So
Like,
was it
granted,
episode
this is a movie.
Sopranos or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
something like that. You know,
The
it'd take an
Goodfellas
hour
or something, yeah.
hour
Feed them
for-
to the hogs.
Yeah, feed it to the hogs, and then in an hour or two, like there's nothing less left but the fingernails or something like that.
Was there a Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah.
Like part 2 or 3 or something?
Hannibal or oh no, it was
Fed 'em to the hogs.
the something dragon, the red dragon was
Yeah.
part of that too.
Cool thing about hogs is you guys think of a pig.
Because
what do
they
you
eat
think of?
everything. They eat the bones. They eat everything.
And that's the thing is like you just throw them table scraps and you're gonna fatten up a pig. You guys think of pigs, so you think of like a pink curly tail.
Yeah, but still 300-400 pounds.
Yeah, but like when they get in the wild, within a week
They
they
morph.
change, and their snouts get bigger. They grow black hair or like a tannish hair. They start growing tusks. Like it is weird. A pig in captivity and a pig in the wild, within a week.
It doesn't take long.
It doesn't take long, and these things just adapt.
So,
It's amazing. Like it's a very old
so
animal.
when you hunt a moose or you hunt a bear, or sounds like if you hunt a wild boar, that animal is going to create a level of danger back to the hunter in that process.
A little bit.
So are those the most, well, polar bear of course, but a grizzly bear? Those are the most fearful animals for hunters in North America. Would you say?
in North America.
I'd say so.
Except the guy that's at the bar on the weekend,
Grizzly.
hunting for his,
Yeah.
for women.
And like going back to what I said before, like if it's heavily hunted, like when I was in Kodiak Island, like a Kodiak brown bear is one of the biggest bears. They rival polar bears for
Right.
the size in the world. But if they smell you, they're 2 miles away.
Right. So they're not as aggressive.
They're not as aggressive towards human, but like
No.
they're very scary.
There's
Like, they're-
many a case of black bear predation on humans too.
and yeah, black bears like, think of black
Actually
bears,
hunting
like,
us.
So supposedly, like if a black bear attacks, or if a grizzly attacks a human, chances are he's just there for as a territorial thing. But if a black bear hunts a human, he's there to eat him.
Yeah.
Wow.
He hunted them for food.
And black bears are a lot smaller. Like black bears get hunted by grizzlies or brown bears.
But grizzlies are
Yeah.
rarer, right?
Grizzlies
Yeah.
and brown bears. So brown bears are coastal, and within a certain range of inland, they could become grizzly bears. It's the same bear.
Okay.
It's the same thing, but
Okay.
they're much bigger than black bears. They hunt black bears.
Okay.
Like you see a grizzly, and then like you see a black bear, and all of a sudden it takes off,
Yeah.
and then a couple minutes later you see a grizzly or a brown bear come lumbering
yeah,
through.
yeah.
It's because of that damn grizzly.
Okay.
Like they
Okay.
grizzlies hunt black
Okay.
bears. But if you, like these guys said, like if you see a black bear eating somebody or trying to go after somebody, it's because it needs to eat or it tasted something that,
They'll hunt people.
I mean,
So-
they'll kick the hell out of any
So,
person on
but
earth.
you're saying overseas, like little panda bears and koalas.
Pandas and koalas. Those aren't
That's,
hunting
I don't
animals,
know.
man.
You can't hunt that stuff, right? So
No,
it's a protected
hell
species.
no,
I don't know.
no.
I'm asking
Yeah, I
a
don't know.
question.
No,
It's a
no.
protected species.
Yeah.
Snow leopards. There's certain things you just don't want to
Yeah,
hunt.
snow leopards.
You know,
Why? What's the deal with them?
what,
They're
every-
hard to
snow-
get to, and there ain't too many of them
Yeah,
left.
there's
Well,
like
that-
there's like 25 in a.
It
in a
all
wild
comes
left.
back
Wild
to-
camels, there's certain things you don't want to shoot.
like, the
Camel.
great thing about the North American
A sloth.
outlook of hunting is we all use science.
That'd be a slow
We
hunt.
look at how many we have, and then we look at how many we can hunt. If we hunt too many, we'll cut it back. If we want to keep that animal, like hunters don't want to see less deer.
Right.
Like
Right.
we don't want to like, oh, you know what? Let's just kill them all. Like
Yeah.
people just kind of think that.
Right.
And,
Right.
like,
Right.
It's just no. We have certain amount of tags per year. Deer same way in Pennsylvania. We do not want to kill too many because guess
Okay.
what? We're not going to have that many
Okay.
next year. Then it goes down. And
Okay.
But it's just like it's the same thing with snow leopards or pandas. Like
Right.
if there's enough, I'm sure we would hunt them.
Oh, I get it.
They probably taste
I get
great.
Yeah.
All right. All right. First off, this has been amazing. Will the three of you come back and do this again for me?
Yeah.
Love to.
For
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And I'll be a little more organized in my questions. But again, I'm coming at this as not an outdoorsman, so all this is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So I know it's kind of redundant for all three of you, but I mean, I really got a lot out of it. I want to go back to my initial question. I want to put you all three on the spot. If you had the ability to go anywhere on the planet to either hunt or fish, what would be your number one dream trip to get what animal? Starting with you, big boy.
Oh. Well, I think we had discussed this one time, and it could have been within our realms of being able to do this, beyond going to the Amazon and getting into tiger fishing, a pirate or whatever the hell that fish name is. What I wanted to do is go to Iceland and fish for just trout, just the native trout in Iceland, because I think just the backdrop in itself to see what Iceland's like. Go to Iceland. I mean,
and there's a direct flight out of Pittsburgh now. Do you know that?
Is there now?
Yeah,
there's a thing there.
It's still direct, but it's way more expensive because
before when we were talking about it, it was something ridiculous, like $120 or something.
The
just
Iceland
to do.
Government was subsidizing the flights for tourism.
And
now they stopped that.
Yeah,
and
I
the
was
ice
so
hotel
excited.
up there. The ice hotel. I mean, definitely a good trip.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be amazing.
So it isn't really the particular fish. It's just it's where you are.
Yeah, it's experience.
So that going to be out on a boat, or is that going to be an ice fish?
It'll be on a stream, I think, a river or stream.
Okay.
Kind of like what we did for our first
with
episode in Montana. Yeah.
Nice.
With a fly rod, just enjoying the backdrop, and then just enjoying everything that Iceland has to offer.
The other thing too is that it's native to the land. Like, it's something weird, like fish something that's not meant to be there.
I get it.
You know what I mean? Like,
something that wasn't put there by man. And didn't have any touch. It was just completely natural.
And they have Atlantic salmon there too, which would be amazing.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean, like that'd be
all right.
So
what about you?
Probably a Yukon for moose.
Yukon.
Great choice.
Moose and a Yukon.
No, we're in the Northwest Territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in the Northwest Territory. Not hunting Yukon, but I've been there.
To the Yukon.
Yeah.
That's a great
just
choice.
for the scenery.
And I'm going to tell you this. You're not going to believe it. We drove through the Yukon in a Yukon.
Did you? That's a bit redundant. Is that redundant? Is that the right word?
My family up there.
You have family in the Yukon?
No. Well, I have family in Calgary and Edmonton, but my Calgary family, they're in the oil business. They've done extremely well. And
you're a Canuck?
I am a Canuck. And
no way.
They have a car dealership in Anchorage, and that what they would do is the family in Calgary would all get company vehicles, and because the way they had to be worked, there was only so many miles permitted, and there was like all kinds of tax benefits because it was coming from the States versus Canada, but they had to be rotated. So when I was up there one summer,
you were rotated.
I went with some of the family members. We drove these Yukons back and drove a brand new Yukon back to Calgary.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Spent 2 weeks in that trip, but going through the Northwest Territory was just nuts. It was nuts.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we had to carry gasoline. We had extra gasoline jugs on part of the trip in there because there was no gas stations enough. Yeah, it was really, but I mean, yeah, I was in a Yukon. Go figure.
That's an amazing trip.
Nice.
We should do that.
Yeah, that was
amazing.
So a Yukon is basically a
area.
No. The animal is
moose.
A Yukon is a kind of moose.
No, Yukon, the area, the moose in the Yukon.
Oh,
they're just huge.
I thought they were calling the moose.
Well, there's a Yukon. There's a moose that's huge.
Yeah,
it's a Yukon moose.
So that's the biggest moose on the planet.
They're known to be huge. There.
Like when you say huge, how big?
Giant.
What is this spread? They count the spread from the brow tines, right?
It's got to be 50, doesn't it?
50 to 70 inches. There's a
minimum to shoot. I think it's 50.
So you have to have a minimum length between the brow tines to shoot a moose, but you got to think
it's the size of your table.
It's
yeah.
I mean, it's a 1,200 pound animal. It's 1,200 pounds. I mean,
so what kind of gun would you use to bring it? A Gatling gun would you use to bring that thing down?
45-70.
I have a 300 Win Mag I bought just for that and never used it for moose.
Yeah.
Damn.
But 35 pounds per side that their antlers weigh.
Yeah, it's 70 pounds a pack out just with the antlers.
Just with the antlers.
So if you're up there hunting in a tent and you get that thing, how the hell do you bring it back?
Cut it up.
Quarter it.
That's a good problem to have.
That's a good problem to have.
I drag that son of a bitch.
You ain't dragging it.
You cut it up, you put it in the pack, and then you trip.
And just hope a bear doesn't get it.
Then it's a race from the bears.
Yeah, it's a race of the bears.
But you would retain the rack, right? Because
I would retain the rack, and I would cape it and Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would suck to cape, but
I would
it
cape
too.
just for head mount. You'd have
Yeah.
to cape it. What are you gonna?
Yeah, I mean, I would
Not that
cape
I
it
have
too.
room to put that. I'd have to put that outside my house at the front
Yeah.
door. I couldn't put that in. There ain't nowhere in a room in my house I could put a moose head.
You might.
I barely-
You'd figure it out.
I'd have to open up the
You'd figure it out.
cathedral, the whole house.
You'd figure it
Get
out.
rid
And
of
that's
the back.
great meat too. I don't know if you ever
Okay.
had moose meat. My
Yeah, it's good.
goodness,
Where
it's
can I
good.
buy moose meat?
You can.
You
I don't
can't.
think
That's the problem.
Uh,
Well, it's not the problem.
I
It's,
can
it's
buy
the
elk,
solution.
you can buy elk.
It's
They farm elk.
raised. Yeah, farm raised. Most of it comes from Canada and New Zealand.
Rogan talks about farm raised elk.
Yeah,
He buys it and eats it lean.
It's not the same. It's for sure, but yeah, most of it comes from Canada and most of
Okay.
it comes from New Zealand.
Okay.
There's a
So
lot that comes from
what
New
trip
Zealand.
would you have and what would you hunt?
New Zealand?
And you would do?
I would do. They have chamois. They're called.
What's that?
It's a sheep, man.
Basically, it's a think of a muskox that we were
Yeah.
talking about earlier. Combined, mated with a mountain goat
Okay.
that lives on the peak of mountains that
Okay.
you would have to climb up and shoot.
So
It's one of the hardest.
if
animals
you
in the
shoot
world.
this thing and it falls, wouldn't it,
It
like
falls,
roll down
yes.
the hill? Roll down the hill?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. That's the biggest. Not the biggest problem. It's one of the biggest problems. Is you can't, like, say you get it within range, you can shoot it. It's like, well, now you can't shoot it because now it's on a cliff, and it's going to roll down and it's going to completely destroy the meat, the rack, the hide. Like, people have talked about shooting those and getting to the bottom of the mountain, and literally the skin isn't attached to the body because it was so bruised coming down. So they pick it up. It's just like a meat sack. And
Wow.
all the meat's ruined.
Wow.
Like, I don't want to ruin
Yeah.
the
And
meat.
what's you used to hunting if you can't?
Yeah, exactly. I hunt to
Couldn't
eat
you like harpoon it or something so then you have something to hold, something to hold on to?
it. Maybe.
Grappling gun.
You harpoon it with a parachute, and when you knock it off the mountain, it floats to the bottom.
But I mean,
Like-
so what is a harpoon used for? Is that still used?
That's
in,
for
like,
shooting whales.
Whales, which has
Yeah,
been outlawed for
which
quite
is
Yeah,
some
well,
time.
unless
what
you're
was it?
Japanese or
Research trips?
Chinese,
Yeah.
then you can still whale hunt.
Really?
Well,
Yeah, they
you,
do.
You got to think of a spear gun as a
Did you ever
harpoon.
see the whale wars where the people are trying to
Yeah.
block the whalers from getting to the whales and it's I think it's the Japanese that still have a
Yeah,
pretty
it's always
Research.
Asia
Whaling fleet.
and Japanese that still
Well, I mean,
eat the weird
Do we
stuff.
kill, we kill whales for meat?
they do for meat and for oil and for everything.
Oil.
They probably make
For
whale
some of it.
peanut
Well, you gotta
soup.
think-
Who knows? I wouldn't eat
What
that
was
shit.
the
It's aphrodisiac.
mid to late 1800s? We used whale oil as streetlights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything
whale
will.
blubber, right?
Yeah,
There's
it was the oil that they burned.
Yeah,
Wasn't whale blubber also used for bait or something? Is it?
Oh,
Was
I'm
it
sure.
they
shark
made
blubber?
soap, oil,
Yeah.
everything,
Everything, yeah.
out of it. It was like,
Polar bears like it.
eh.
And they still hunt whales up north, up
That's
in Alaska.
crazy.
Now, only certain whales, but like
Eskimos,
Inuit
just the
Eskimos.
Inuit can.
Yeah,
Narwhals, and
Yeah, that's a
some
big
of-
one. Yeah,
yeah.
those are. I can't even begin to explain what those look like. But
They
yeah,
got a big
they're
old horn.
still-
They got a big,
It's a
big horn
unicorn.
coming up.
It's weird.
Unicorn
Yeah,
coming
it's
out
like a
the front of them.
unicorn.
It's a
Yes, it's
unicorn
easy to explain
fish.
it.
That had to be horrifying.
Yeah, we went.
That's
from,
the thing. Like they still hunt them in Norway. They still hunt them in northern tiers of the earth, and all you hear is the bad thing.
Yeah.
It just it drives me nuts. It's like, well, yeah,
This is like a
they're
National
eating
Geographic.
every
Dude, this is a
single
great
portion.
episode. This is this is fucking fantastic. All right. Before we wrap up, how can these? Is this still the same social media
Oh, yeah.
connections for the Thirsty Outdoorsmen? But it's
Yep.
straight yacked, right?
Yeah. For me, it's just I'm doing something straight yak that's just generally just for
Right,
me to kind of
right.
get my passion of
Right,
kayak fishing
right.
out. But we still have the same thing, Thirsty
Yeah.
Outdoorsmen.
Oh, we
and
didn't
whenever
get into the story
what
about trying to film the other day.
Oh, I want to hear it before you have to. We have to hear it before we wrap up.
You were talking about the most dangerous animals to hunt and things that could possibly kill you. Like nobody, we never described about possibly who you could hunt with that would kill you or do something like that. Just in a general, just like this guy Zelt. What was it? Last day of goose. Or is that what we're talking about?
Second to last day goose I went out.
Yeah.
And I sent you all those videos.
Oh, yeah. So this guy, I mean, goose hunting. Something that I've never really experienced was being in the field and seeing tons of these geese just come in, and you're in this little cocoon, which is called a layout blind. And then
it's a coffin that you lay in.
Yeah, and then what happens is the geese come in, they see the decoys that come in, and you're all camouflaged in, and they come in, and you're like about 15, 20 yards from it, and all of a sudden somebody says go, and you fly open these doors and you go and shoot it, boom, 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 and you get all these geese
come down. And some of these geese land on your blind.
And just walking around, they're amazing hunts. And I'm like, wow. And he sent me videos of this, and it's just like, would you limit out in like 30 minutes or something crazy?
Yeah.
Like something ridiculous. It was a 5-man limit, which is 5 geese per man, 25 geese gone. And I'm like, I want that. He's like, come out tomorrow. I was like, okay, I come out tomorrow.
And this is the last day of the season.
The last day of the season, I bring my dog out. Me and Cal, we're all super excited. You know, we're like, boy, I can't wait. Cal, I can't wait to see you retrieve some geese today. We get out there, and when I get there early in the morning, I see a couple of cars pulled off on the side of the road, and I get there, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to pull off behind these guys.
We're in the middle of nowhere, by the way.
This
is a farm field with a
dirt
dirt road in the middle.
All I get is, hey, meet us here at 5:30 in the morning. It's just a pin. I'm like, okay, this is where I park. He's like, yeah, okay. It doesn't look like a parking spot. Oh well. So you go out there, and I take my little Tacoma out there, and I go, and there's a guy, pulled off on the side of the road, and I didn't think much about it. I go over and pull off, and all of a sudden my truck just goes sideways. And I'm like off on a ditch on the rim of the highway like this. I'm pretty sure my back tire was off the ground.
His back tire was off the ground by like an inch.
And so I'm like, I guess this is where I'm gonna park. So I get out and I climb out the truck. And then, I meet him, and we get all our stuff off. And I'm pissed off to begin with because I'm already doing this, and I spent 2.5 hours going out to meet him, and
in a snowstorm.
In a snowstorm that was completely white out. I'm getting passed by tractor trailers. It was ridiculous. It took 2.5 hours to get there. Anyway,
so mad.
I wanted to film really bad. Yeah. And I got Cal, and Cal's super excited. He has no idea what's going on. Right. So meanwhile, I go out, head out where all these guys are setting the decoys up in the middle of this field,
which is a long walk through ice.
It's about probably half a mile walk out into the middle of this field, and then there's about 6 inches of snow, and then there's 2 inches of ice, and there's another 6 inches of snow underneath the ice.
The worst
and so it's just like you're like this, and then you go to push off, and you go further, and and Cal's doing the same thing, and I've got all this camera gear, and I'm lugging it out. And meanwhile, I look at the temperature. It's like 14 degrees outside. With
14 degrees in the morning with 25 to 35 miles.
With probably a wind chill of
-9 that day.
Was it -9? Yeah, it felt like -9. And I go out there and I've got all these things, and apparently I've got to be super camouflage. It's all snow, so I had to go out the night before, pick up all these drop cloths, and I'm in this Tyvek suit that's ripping in the back, so my ass is showing kind of,
It's hilarious.
And and then we get out there and be like, God, I hope this is worth it. We go and we sit in this thing with the wind blowing at 20, 30 miles per hour.
And I just had LASIK surgery, so my eyes with this wind,
we're freezing up.
Yeah, we're just freezing up because my eyes can't comprehend what's going on because the nerves are cut. Right. But this wind was horrible. We're on top of a mountain, by the way. And just
I'm just sitting there, just picture just a bunch, just picture Star Wars, when the guys were in a snowstorm, you had to cut open a freaking
that was this
thing, and you had to crawl inside to get warm. That was me just throwing a bunch of hot hands in the layout blind, and I'm just sitting there for hours, nothing. My face is getting raw. Cal's looking at me like, what the hell, bro? And I'm like, I don't know, and and then by the time 1 o'clock came around, I was like, that's it. I'm calling it. That's the end of the waterfowl season this year.
That sucked.
I need a beer.
That sucked.
The problem was we were hunting geese, and geese aren't like ducks. Ducks will fly in the morning. Geese are assholes.
Yeah.
And even my
Assholes.
wife says this. It's hilarious. She's like, "I'll go goose hunting with you because they're assholes. I won't kill a deer."
I'll
that's
kill
good.
them sons of bitches.
We get back to like, the whole thing, but geese are assholes because they are lazy, and if it's too cold, they won't fly. And this day there was too cold, but they need to feed during
Got
the day
skunked.
at some time of the day.
Yeah.
This day they didn't fly till like
Meanwhile, he's telling me that this area that he's living in now is like amazing for goose hunting, duck hunting, and
Meanwhile,
stuff like this.
like I've had so many lemon hunts this year. Like
he's
the
been.
best hunts I've
It
had.
must
here.
be nice to hunt on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you know. Like, you know, he hits me up on Wednesday night. Hey, can you hunt tomorrow? No, I have work. I get off on the weekends. I have one day to hunt, and yeah, and so I've been out 5 times.
5 times.
And have been
Nothing.
skunked 5 times.
Nothing.
And
Wow.
I don't think we've been skunked 5 times in 5 years. And I'm not
He
kidding.
might be a bad luck charm, maybe.
Well, that was the thing. He's like the black cloud.
I'm breaking.
Like,
It's
I
got to
told-
break eventually.
So like,
Oh, it'll
when I
bust
started
wide
hunting-
open once you get it there.
like I mean, he's seen
Hey, it
like.
took me years to get my
limit-
first buck. Then it was the bloodbath.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
yeah.
but he's on like been on Chesapeake Bay. And we've limited out
Right.
too fast.
I mean, you know, I've
like,
seen
we've
hunts
seen
like that,
crazy hunts,
but
like,
geese is
not
something
geese.
that we,
Geese is different because they land at your feet.
Right.
Like literally, you're worried about them landing on your
Right.
blind,
Right.
which like it's a coffin that you basically sit in.
and
And like I showed him videos of the day before. Like actually, as they were happy, I'm Snapchatting him,
ridiculous.
and it's just like we were
There's
already
just
done.
a goose walking right by his feet.
There's a goose walking by. Like
He's like, "What do I do?"
That's
I'm like,
not
"I don't
wrong.
know. Reach out and strangle it or something." Like,
That's
it
fucking
was
funny, man.
insane how good it was.
That's fucking
and then
funny.
the next day he shows up, nothing.
yeah.
Wow.
And I'm just out
I
there
mean, they
like.
flew, but they flew later in the day, and it was too cold.
So that's the last thing I wanted to get. So I've gotten really into dog training, and that was the
Yeah.
last thing
Yeah.
with
yeah, yeah.
Cal
Yeah.
is for him to be able to sit in his blind when a goose is walking right by him, you know, and you got maybe more geese coming in and stuff. That was going to be the last training session, but I guess we'll have to wait till next year.
It just the black cloud that comes over his head is insane.
Nothing's
Like
changed.
I've never heard of a story
Nothing's changed.
like 5 times he's come
It's
out.
the black
to-
cloud. Meanwhile, this guy's probably just taking videos and pictures off of the internet. They're like, look at what we did. You know, yeah, bullshit.
Look at my
Whatever
freezer.
works.
yeah.
All right, guys. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it, man.
Hey,
Thank
this
you
was
so
fun,
much.
Thanks for having me,
Thank
you.
man.
Do this
I had a
again.
great
We'll
time.
do this
Nice
Love
meeting
it.
you.
Nice
Thank
meeting you
you.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
too.
This is a good
Oh, yeah.
group. This is a good group.
There's so much
Right.
more to talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna get
Oh, yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah.
We're just scratching the surface for sure.
Oh, great.
All right, guys. Appreciate
All right,
it,
thank you.
friends. We are out.
Oh.
Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project.